Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska. It's Game 6 of the NCAA College World Series. The Bulldogs of Georgia against the Hogs from Arkansas. The Diet Coke pregame show is brought to you by Diet Coke. You're going to drink it just for the taste of it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska, as Elimination Day continues here on ESPN with another opportunity for a team to go home. Already we're down to 7 teams, as earlier today in Game 5, Arizona State was beaten. Now, the Georgia Bulldogs are taking on Arkansas, and this is the second trip to Omaha and to Rosenblatt for Georgia in this same day because of the suspended game from last night when they lost by a score of 3-2 to the Stanford Cardinal. For those of you that may not have seen how this game turned out, quickly let's take a look at it. Georgia's Scott Belkey had an error in left in the second inning, and that allowed Stanford 2 runs. And then Ed Sprague tripled and went on to score the 3rd Cardinal run as he took the Georgia Bulldogs to the wall. He would get the triple and then eventually score himself, and that made it 3-0. Thunderstorms then forced the suspension of play in the 7th, with Georgia needing a rally trailing 3-1. Then earlier today, Derek Lilliquist, the starter in the game, who remained in as a DH, double in the 8th to close the gap to 3-2. And the Bulldogs were on a roll with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Then in the 9th, with the tying run on, Stanford had an opportunity again to close it out, and they did with a 5-4-3 double play. And the Georgia Bulldogs, in their first trip ever to the College World Series, came short by only a run to the Stanford Cardinal. With me now is Steve Weber, and you've got to feel pretty good about your club, Coach, because they did play well. You went through the storm last night. You had to come back today, and you didn't allow another run to the Stanford team.
Well, I was pleased the way we came back and swung the bats in the 3 innings that we played here today. We seemed to be more into the game, more relaxed, and more comfortable with the surroundings. So I was really pleased with the way things happened. Chris Carpenter gave us some good relief innings, and he'll be available today. The only unfortunate thing is we came out on the slow end of the score.
You had some jitters, the error by Belkey, which we showed everyone, and then, of course, Lilliquist with the balk. Short of that, you win that ball game against Stanford. What did you tell your team now in preparation for this one after maybe a shaky couple of unearned runs cost you game 1?
Well, overall, I thought we played very hard, and that's really all you can ask of a ball club in a series like this. But our backs are against the wall. We know that, and they were in the regional, and we bounced back. And the kids have bounced back all year long, and we expect them to do the same thing here tonight.
Lilliquist and Carpenter have done an outstanding job for you. Now you go with Broadfoot in this one. Tell us a little about him.
Well, Scott is, other than Chris and Derek, is probably our hottest pitcher right now. He pitched an outstanding game in the regional, and he one-hit Georgia Tech, and prior to that pitched a good ball game in the conference series and lost. So if he's going to be effective tonight, he needs to have his breaking ball over the plate and be able to locate his fastball. But you can look for him to throw a lot of sliders and breaking balls.
All right, Steve, thank you for stopping by, and here's hoping the best in game number 6 tonight.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. It is the Hogs against the Dogs coming up in game 6. We'll look at Arkansas when we return at the College World Series. Welcome back to the Diet Coke pregame show, brought to you by Diet Coke. You're going to drink it just for the taste of it. Welcome back to Omaha and Rosenblatt Stadium. I'm Tim Brando, your host. Now, the 2 gentlemen that will be calling tonight's game like to take a look at the Arkansas Razorbacks and how this game shapes up. Joe Morgan and John Sanders. Fellas?
Tim, thank you very much. Of course, losing is no fun, especially if you work all year long to get to the College World Series. Both these teams have tasted one defeat right now. But that losing is compounded when you have a terrible night yourself. Case in point, Georgia's Roger Miller, the cleanup batter, 0 for 4, struck out 3 times. It was not fun for him.
No, it was not a great game. I've seen some great players in my career have off nights, strike out 3 times like Roger Miller did. The key is that how well you bounce back. Roger Miller led his conference in runs batted in, so he was consistent over the year. I look for him to bounce back and have a good game. They need him.
And if he can bounce back, it'll help Georgia bounce back. Well, on the other hand, we have Arkansas. Jim Kramer's individually had a great ball game. He almost hit a grand slam home run. He had 2 hits and 5 RBIs. He was the first baseman last night. It's going to be tough for him to make the all-tournament team because now he's going to move to right field.
Well, I think his main concern now is not the all-tournament team, but to take his team farther into the tournament. He is a key to their ball club. He drove in 5 runs last night. How hot can he stay? He's going to have to stay hot. This is an elimination game, so whoever does the best is going to stay. The other guy's going to go home.
And as Tim mentioned, Georgia on the field for the second time today. You have to go back to 1974 to find a team that was eliminated in one day in Omaha. That was Seton Hall, again because of rain delay. What about it as Georgia comes back and tries to get it going against Arkansas?
Well, being honest, I think the edge goes to Arkansas because they've had a day to think about the mistakes they made yesterday and try to correct them. Georgia didn't know they were going to be in the losers bracket until a few hours ago. Now they have to make those adjustments very quickly. Puts a lot more pressure on you when you know you have to do it all at once. So I think Arkansas has a little edge here.
The Hogs and the Dogs, and one of them will be going home after this one is over. We are going to go back downstairs now to the host for the College World Series, our ESPN coverage, Tim Brando. Tim?
All right, John and Joe, thank you very much. A lot has been written and said about the 8 years that ESPN has been here for the College World Series and how many true superstars that were born right here at this park. Rosenblatt, well, we've got 12 All-Americans, count them, this year that are all big time.
I'm on my way, I'm making it. I've got to make it show, yeah. So much larger than life. I'm gonna watch it grow in. The place where I come from is a small town. They think so small, they use small words. But not me, I'm smarter than that. I worked it out. I'll be stretching my mouth to let those big words come right out. I've had enough, I'm getting out to the city, a big city. I'll be a big noise with all the big boys, so much stuff I will own. And I will pray to a big God as I kneel in the big church. I'm on my way, I'm making it. I've got to make it show, yeah. So much larger.
The starting lineup for the Bulldogs from Georgia is brought to you by Wilson, the official baseball of the NCAA championships. Coach Steve Weber's team not down after losing the first game. Keep in mind they also lost their opener in the Northeast Regional and came back to win it all there. Leading off is Don Perno, the second baseman. He began the Georgia tradition of butting heads after home runs. Batting second and playing left field is Scott Bolke. He missed only one game in the last 2 years. Batting third is the center fielder Steve Carter. He was drafted by the Brewers 2 years ago. Batting cleanup is the catcher Roger Miller, a member of a two-time National Babe Ruth Championship team from Sarasota, Florida. Batting fifth and playing the DH tonight is Derek Lilliquist. He was the losing pitcher in the Dogs' suspended game with Stanford. Batting sixth and playing right field is Rich Bielski. He played at Hanford Community College and also Miami-Dade North before coming to Georgia. Batting seventh and at first base is Pete Freeman, a career batting average of .320 coming into this year, and he's hitting over .370. Playing third base and batting eighth is Michael Turner. He had 3 hits in the Dogs' loss to the Stanford Cardinal. And batting ninth and playing short is Pat Swift, a 3-sport letterman at Dowling High School in Des Moines, Iowa.
There's the defense that you'll see. Scott Post will be in left field, Rod Moore in center field, Jim Kramer's in right. Don Thomas is the third baseman. Mike Cisco is a shortstop. Kelly Zane will be the second baseman. Troy Eklund will be the first baseman. Behind the plate is Andy Skills, and the pitcher is Dennis Fletcher.
And here is Dennis Fletcher, a record of 8-1. His earned run average is 2.70. Bochy has pitched 63 1/3 innings coming in here. You see his strikeout to walk ratio is not outstanding. 54 strikeouts, but 44 walks. That means, Joe, he does have some problems with his control from time to time, obviously.
Right, and as we said before, you like a 2-to-1, at least a 2-to-1 ratio between strikeouts and bases on balls.
And the umpiring crew for tonight, working behind the plate, will be Bob Nelson, John Bible at first, Bill Rosenberry at second, and Randy Crystal will be the umpire at third. So that's your crew for the game. And for the second time in the 1987 NCAA College World Series, Georgia is the visiting. They were the home team. Now they're the visitors. Arkansas now is the home team twice. Howard McCann at first. Steve Weber is at third. And here is Don Perno to lead it off. Perno 1 for 2 in the game that was concluded today. They played through the top of the 7th inning last night. Had an hour and 30-minute rain delay in the middle. Played 20 more minutes, then called it and finished it up this morning. Strike called. It's 0-2. On the mound, Dennis Fletcher, 19-year-old sophomore, 5'11", 165 pounds. He's from Farmington, Arkansas. The problem yesterday for the Arkansas pitching staff, 13 walks and 13 hits given up in their loss. And 6 times in that game with Texas, the Longhorn leadoff man got on base, and 4 times that leadoff man scored. He set up outside. The pitch is too far outside, and the count evens out at 2-2.
I talked to Dennis before the ball game, and he said that was one of his goals, to go out and get ahead of the hitters, which he has done here, and then try to put them away. He's going to be all hard stuff, fastball, slider. He throws hard stuff. He's not a finesse pitcher.
Into center field it goes. Moore to his right makes the catch. Out number 1.
And that was a slider he threw to get him out.
Scott Bolke will be the batter as we take a look at Rosenblatt Stadium. 343 down the lines, 370 in the alleys, 420 to center. And Joe, one of the things we're going to watch is the fact that these outfielders on most of these teams play fairly shallow. And I think part of the reasoning here, they're not used to playing in a ballpark quite this large.
Yes, because I was very surprised yesterday when Stanford's guys were playing so shallow, because I say you can really get hurt if a ball's hit over your head in this ballpark. But like you say, they're used to standing at a certain depth from the hitter, and that's what they were doing.
Bolke working on a 9-game hitting streak. Down the line should be a 10-game hitting streak as that one bounces past Pose all the way to the wall. On his way to second is Bolke with a double. So Scott Bolke, who was 1 for 4 in the loss to Stanford, gets the base hit here.
One of the problems you have when you throw a lot of breaking balls, or you are a breaking ball pitcher, is the tendency to hang one every once in a while, and you really get hurt normally. It was a slider he hung inside, and Bolke hit it down the left field line.
20th double of the year for Bolke. He's there with 1 out for Steve Carter. Steve 1 for 3. He went for a bad pitch that time. Steve Carter wears number 18. But most of the season he wore number 32. The senior from Charlottesville, Virginia. When he got to the regionals, he left his jersey at the hotel. Well, in the regional, he went 8 for 17, made the all-tournament team. So number 18 has now become his number.
That's a good enough reason to change.
Fletcher looks in his career 10-1 with Arkansas. That one tails outside. 2 balls and a strike.
I wore number 18 first part of my career. I went to Cincinnati, and I asked for number 18, and a big fella named Ted Kluszewski had it, so I switched to number 8. Good reason.
And did you stay then with 8 the rest of the time you played in the big league?
Yeah. It was very good to me after that.
No sense changing it.
Right.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
The equipment guy said, you go ask Kluszewski for his number. I said, I think I would like number 8.
Hits it towards second base. It kind of loops to the second baseman. Kelly Zane runs it down. So 2 outs now for Roger Miller. Don't you think that Roger, after that 3 strikeout 0-4 last night, would like to do something here with a runner in scoring position?
right? And this is a key at bat for him, I think, because they count on him to do certain things, and when you don't do it, it puts pressure on the rest of your team. And he is right in the middle of the order. He is the cleanup hitter. And they're in a double elimination tournament, you do not have time to make mistakes. It's a good pitch on the outside corner.
From Sarasota, Roger Miller. The Bulldogs of Georgia, their first ever trip to the College World Series here in Omaha, Nebraska, playing for an NCAA championship. But it's been a good spring for Georgia in terms of championships. That's fouled out of play because the Bulldog gymnastics team and the Bulldog tennis team won NCAA championships this spring. So they've been busy, taking home the hardware.
I think one thing we should point out here, John, is the fact that home plate is in shadows and the rest of the field is in daylight. What that does is causes you a problem when the ball comes out of that sunlight into the dark. As a hitter, it's like walking into a room, a dark room from the hallway. It takes you a split second for your eyes to adjust to it.
The count is 1-2 with 2 outs, and Bolke on at second. You can see the shadows of the stand. Now, earlier in the game previous to this, game 5, in which Arizona State was eliminated, there was just one shadow over home plate and the light power over the mound, and it's changing as the day goes on here. Chopped foul. The count remains 1-2.
And the toughest pitch to see is the breaking ball. You can't see the spin on the ball because of the darkness. But also the fastball, when it's coming towards you, it looks like a blur more than being able to see the stitching on the ball to see which way the rotation is. So the pitcher actually has an advantage in this situation.
Fletcher taking some time behind the mound. Now he's going to step back up. Roger Miller had 67 RBIs last year for Georgia, only 3 away from the school record. It's 56 runs batted in this year. Count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. A 1-out double has put Scott Bolke on at second. There are 2 outs now. Georgia time to break out on top. They lost 3-2 in the completion of the suspended game earlier today to Stanford. And even having a runner in scoring position is something new, because they had only 7 chances in that game with Stanford with runners in scoring position. Only 7 at-bats with a runner in a scoring spot. Spins but doesn't throw to second. Play continues here in Omaha on Monday, and we'll go back to the winner's bracket side and pick up some games. Called him out on strikes, so the double but no damage. We'll go to the bottom half of inning number 1. Scoreless here in Omaha, Nebraska, and we get set to meet the Razorbacks of Arkansas, trying to stay alive in the '87 College World Series in Omaha. The Arkansas starting lineup is brought to you by Wilson, the official baseball of the NCAA championships. 3rd time that Coach Norm DeBryan has been to Omaha, but it's the first time his Arkansas team has lost the opening game. Leading off and playing left field is Scott Pose, a transfer from Western Community College in Council Bluffs, Iowa, right next door to Omaha. Batting second and playing second is Kelly Zane. He was the South 1 Regional MVP. Batting third and playing right field is Jim Kramer. He had 5 RBIs Saturday. Batting fourth and catching is Andy Skeels. He holds the Arkansas single-season home run record with 18. Batting fifth and playing first base is Troy Eklund. He hit .451 in high school in Kansas City, Missouri. Batting sixth, the DH, is Randy Bobb. He's been out the last 6 games with a broken bone in his hand. He's going to give it a try tonight. Batting seventh is the shortstop, Mike Cisco, the only returning infield starter for Arkansas. Batting eighth and playing third base is Don Thomas. He'll probably be moved to second base next year. And batting ninth and playing center field is Rod Moore. He had 2 hits in Saturday's loss to Texas.
And the Georgia defense will have Scott Bolke in left field. Steve Carter will be in center field. Rich Bilski will be the right fielder. Michael Turner is over at third. Pat Swift is the shortstop. Don Perno, the second baseman. Pete Freeman will be at first base. Roger Miller is the catcher, and Scott Broadfoot is on the mound.
Here is Scott Broadfoot. His record is 8-3, earned run average of 5.91. He's given up 66 runs in 91 1/3 innings of pitching so far this year. Strikeout to walk ratio 62-39. This is his 19th appearance. His 17th start on the year. He has a couple of complete games. So Scott Broadfoot, a senior, 21 years old. He's from Wichita, Kansas. Transfer from Allen County Junior College, and leading off is Scott Pose, the left fielder. Pose was 1 for 4 and scored a run, and the Arkansas lost to Texas. A transfer, as I mentioned earlier, from Council Bluffs, Iowa Western. There are no fewer than 12 junior college transfers on this ball club. Arkansas does a great job of working the junior college transfers into their lineup. Of course, they lost 6 starters last year, so they had to go out and find some new bodies.
Scott Pose does a great job at working the pitcher also, John.
Slaps it foul. He'll be followed by Kelly Zane and Jim Kramers. Checking the coaches, working first and third. There you have them, Dave Van Horn and Doug Clark.
Good breaking ball from Scott Broadfoot.
So Broadfoot gets strikeout number 63 for the season. And the batter will be Kelly Zane from Wichita. He was red hot in the regionals. Wound up being the MVP. He's a junior. Earlier this year had a 19-game hitting streak. Was 1 for 4 against the University of Texas. He also spends part of his time as a cook. He works as a chef at one of Wichita's better Italian restaurants. Up and in, it's 2-0.
And he's a pretty good offensive player. That's his strong suit. He's adequate in the field, but he's really a good offensive player.
They respect that so far. 3 bad ones to him. Got the inside corner, says Bob Nelson, and it's 3-1. The Razorbacks were red hot as a team in that regional as they swept through the South 1 regional. A team batting average of .413. Into center field. Carter just to his right and back a bit. 2 out.
One of the differences I've noticed already between Scott Broadfoot, Dennis Fletcher from Lilliquist, and McDowell is that these 2 guys already pitch inside. They established early that they will pitch inside part of the plate. Last night, I think McDowell and Lilliquist really went away early in the ball game before they tried to establish the inside part of the plate.
Jim Kramers now 2 for 4 with 5 RBIs against Texas, and he came very, very close to hitting it out of here. He hit the fence in the right field area, but it's a part of the fence that has an advertisement out there for a television station and has a baseball that sticks actually slightly above the fence. And any other part of the ballpark, it would have been a home run, and we will show you exactly what we're talking about. See it right behind the umpire? Yeah, he hit the top part of that 7. Otherwise, it's a grand slam. That's how close he came.
And that part is above the fence. That's what you call bad luck.
Grounds it towards short. Swift to Freeman. 1-2-3. The Razorbacks go in order. We will go to the second in Omaha, Nebraska. The NCAA College World Series continued. No score between the Dogs and the Hogs.
Feel the excitement of championship college baseball. The best teams in America battle in the NCAA College World Series. Live tonight at 8 Eastern, exclusively on ESPN.
Let's recap what's happened so far in the NCAA College World Series. Oklahoma State beating Arizona State in Game 1. In a 10-inning affair, LSU outlasting Florida State 6-2. Texas bombed Arkansas 13-6. And we continue with Game 4. one that was just completed this morning because of the rain. 3-2, Georgia losing to Stanford. And in Game 5, the first of the elimination games, Florida State sent Arizona State packing. 3-0 the final there. The loser of this game will go home. The winner will move on to play again on Wednesday. We'll have winners bracket games coming up Monday and Tuesday on ESPN.
There you can see, John, the daylight I was talking about, the sunshine behind the pitcher. Now it's stretched out a little more, so it's a little better for the catcher. Watch this pitch. He's coming right out of the sunlight into the dark. See how the ball disappears? That makes it very tough to hit.
An even 300 average. One more home run, and Derek Lilliquist from Sarasota, Florida, will have tied the home run record. Of course, records are nothing new for him. He has set 8 different records, most of them in the pitching category this year. Takes a called strike. He's from Sarasota High School, along with one of his teammates, Roger Miller. Fletcher's given up 1 hit. He has 1 strikeout so far. On 1 hop to Eklund. He'll make the play by himself. And that's the way the second inning began. Fairly quiet so far. We've really only had 1 high-scoring ball game. That was the Texas-Arkansas game the first time around. Everything else has been fairly low-scoring and pretty well played.
Well, I think you'll find that to be true probably tonight as well, because when you're on the verge of being eliminated, you have a tendency to play it a little closer to the vest, so to speak, and the players have a little more pressure on them, and I think you'll see a low-scoring ball game.
Rich Bielski was 0 for 4 against Stanford. Batting with 1 out, nobody on here in the second inning. Breaking pitch drops over for a strike. We mentioned the problem with the Arkansas pitchers. They used 5 against Texas. Peters was the loser, but Oquist, Harris, Edwards, and Sebahar, the starter, all pitched. And all of those probably would be ready to go today if needed. Exception might be Harris.
As the old saying go, everyone is ready today because they'll have all winter to rest if they do not win today.
Breaking ball outside to Bielski. It's 1-2. Bielski went to Calvert Hall High School. And Rich, though he's a right fielder now, was a shortstop in high school. Rolls it foul. One out here in the second. Nobody on. No score. We've got only 1 base runner so far in the ball game. That was Scott Volke, who doubled in the first. Catcher sets up way outside. The pitch came back inside and fouled it back.
John, one of the things that I've noticed about amateur baseball is the fact that the umpiring is so different. One umpire would be what you would call a pitcher's umpire, which doesn't mean that he calls balls out of the strike zone, but he uses the whole plate. Wherein other guys may be what you call hitter's umpires, who make the pitcher get a lot of the plate with his pitch before he calls a strike. One of the problems that poses.
He pops it up into shallow center. Moore makes the play. 2 outs. Go ahead, Joe.
One of the problems that poses is that a lot of the hitters do not know what to do. They are not aggressive when they go to the plate, and they don't know whether to go up and maybe take strikes, you know, take some pitches, try to get a base on balls. Whereas in the major leagues, you know what the umpire is. You know if he's a pitcher's umpire or a hitter's umpire, and you adjust accordingly. I think in amateur baseball, really, you need more pitcher's umpires than you do hitters umpires, simply because I think it helps the game. It will help to make the hitters more aggressive, knowing that they're going to have to hit their way on the bases, and I think it makes for a better ball game, a more exciting ball game. There's nothing more boring than to see guys walk, you know, 10 or 12 guys in the ball game, and a lot of times when they're just missing the corner, so to speak. I think you need to make these guys more aggressive. I think it'll help them become better players if they are made to be more aggressive.
Outside with that one.
Bob Nelson, the home plate umpire tonight, seems to be doing a good job in that direction.
Well, we've had a couple of other guys who did that pretty well also. Randy Crystal and John Bible. Both gave the players a lot on the corners. And it certainly makes a lot of difference in the type of game that you see. Many of these young men would be content to sit back and take a few pitches, you know.
And take their base on balls.
There is a base on balls. We mentioned that was part of the Arkansas problem against Texas because they walked 13 as a team pitching staff, and that is walk number 1 in tonight's game.
Well, another thing I've been really impressed with, I've interviewed 4 of the pitchers that have pitched the 2 ball games now. I like the attitude that the pitchers have on these teams. When these guys understand what their jobs are and they go out and try to do it. They're not always successful, but they go about it the right way, and I think that's the key. I guess what I'm saying is I'd like to have any of these 4 pitchers I've seen in my organization if I had a baseball team.
Nothing but the best in Omaha, Nebraska for the NCAA College World Series. Right now the plate jumping around a little bit for.
Well, one of the things I've noticed, and it's, you know, obviously because I watched pitchers for so many years, is that now he seems to be trying to throw his fastball harder than he was before. He seems to be overthrowing it a little bit. See, that one was a better pitch, and it had movement on it. You can tell when his fastball is thrown properly. It's thrown with just enough velocity that allows it to have some movement. When he overthrows it, he does not get any movement on the ball, and it usually is high in the strike zone or way inside.
A 2-1 pitch is coming for Michael Turner, who grounds it to third. Thomas backpedals, long throw. It'll be short, and he gets away from the first baseman. On the plate, Freeman will go to third. So there will be runners at the corners for the Bulldogs.
This is the toughest play in any place for a third baseman, when you have to go backwards on the ball. So he's giving him a lot of line. He can't charge it and get it on the short hop, so he has to cut across. That makes him have a long throw, and he doesn't have time to set himself, and that happens most of the time.
It will be an error.
I think that's what made Brooks Robinson such a great third baseman. He wouldn't go back on the ball. He charged it and tried to get it on the short hop because he didn't have such a strong arm, but it's a tough play to make.
That sets the table now for the Bulldogs of Georgia. They're doing a little conference at the mound now. A team meeting.
Yes.
That's the pitching coach, Dave Jorn, who has gone out there.
A lot of the things are, you know, discussing here are not just how they want to pitch a guy, but they also want to know why, you know, what they're going to do in case the runner breaks from first base, because you do not want to end up giving the guy a base, you know, stolen base or a guy scoring. Here we'll take another look at the play. See that high chop there? You've got to make a decision to go in and try to short hop it right there. See, there's the bag is 90 feet. He's at least 15 feet behind the bag, which makes it a long throw.
At this point defensively, they will set up and go. Got 2 outs, so defensively they can play back. Check swing roller to short. The throw to first is in time, and that'll do it. So they leave runners at the corners. Second straight inning in which the Bulldogs have stranded a runner in scoring position. But we are scoreless now. Bottom of the second is coming up in Omaha. ESPN's live presentation of the 1987 NCAA College World Series is being brought to you by Budweiser Beechwood Age. For that clean, crisp taste, this Bud's for you. By State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by Mercury, makers of the all-new Mercury Tracer. Mercury, the shape you want to be in. And picture this. We're an inning and a half into this College World Series elimination game. The Razorbacks of Arkansas retired in order the first time around. We'll send up Andy Steeles, Troy Eklund, and Randy Bob. Great story on Andy Steeles. He was actually born in New Zealand, now lives in California. His father is a minister in Los Angeles. But Pop was also a Rhodes Scholar and once played piano with the New York Philharmonic.
And he's also a third-team All-American this year, which I think is quite an honor.
And he also had an 8-game hitting streak ended yesterday when he was 0 for 4. Holds it foul at the plate. Arizona State, which has gone home with all the marbles 5 times, is the first team eliminated this year. The loser here will also be going home, and the winner of this game will stick around and play the 5 o'clock Eastern time game on Wednesday night and go back to doubleheaders. Single games coming up the next 2 nights. Down too low, which is set for tomorrow. It'll be Oklahoma State and LSU. And on Tuesday, Texas and Stanford. But the business at hand is Arkansas and Georgia. It's rolled foul right at home plate by Andy Skeels.
So far, Scott has been able to keep the sinker down. And when you do that, you're going to be pretty successful. You get a lot of guys chasing that ball and hitting the top of it and keeping the ball on the infield. If you hit it on the ground, not a lot of damage can be done.
Skeels has set the single season home run record for Arkansas and puts him in some pretty good company. Kevin McReynolds had 17 in one season for Arkansas. So did Jeff King, who's now playing in the Pirate minor league organization and was the #1 draft pick in the country last year. And some of these young men here in Omaha are certainly thinking about the draft, which is coming up on Tuesday.
And I think we've seen a couple of guys that will be, you know, in the go in the first round.
They want the appeal at third, and the appeal at third is the same as the call at home, ball 4.
Shows you the respect they have for Andy Skeels there. He threw him a 3-2 breaking ball leading off the inning. And Broadfoot has been able to retire everyone else. But he gets 3-2 and he throws him the breaking ball.
So the first base runner for Arkansas and Troy Eklund, batting .294 on the year. Troy was 2 for 5 against Texas with an RBI. All the other RBIs went to Jim Kramer's.
Now, as you can see, the pitcher is also in the shadow, so it makes it a lot easier for the hitter to pick up the ball. When you're both in the same light, it's a lot easier. As you can see there, the sunlight has gone behind it.
Troy Eklund playing first base tonight. Last night he was the DH. May also wind up in the outfield next year. A young man from Park Hill High School in Kansas City. Got some versatility. Line drive, it's speared by Turner at third.
That is a great play. That's extra bases down the line, of course, if he doesn't even knock it down. And the thing that's interesting, he plays off the line a little bit at third base.
Now Randy Bob, who has missed the last 6 games because of a broken bone in the little finger of his left hand. Randy is going to try it. He's been coming on strong. At first they thought he wouldn't even be able to play, and they didn't even think they'd make him eligible for the College World Series in this NCAA championship event. But the young man from Broken Arrow is going to get a chance. You can imagine it's a disappointment. You take a look at his left hand. You see it's heavily taped. The problem is not so much in the batting. He can swing the bat. He cannot play the field. He's regularly the first baseman. He can't catch it.
That's tough. It's tough to play in the field if you can't catch it.
Skeels the runner at first. He's moving, and the ball is hit down the line, hooking toward the corner. It's a foul ball.
He certainly didn't have any trouble with that high breaking ball. I think the pitch you need your hands the most on is a low pitch, especially a pitch low and away or away from you.
We had the heavy thunder showers on Saturday night, and Very pleasant so far this evening in Omaha.
You'll see this breaking ball hangs up in, so you can just swing the bat right there. But when you really use your hands as a hitter is when the ball's away from you and especially down and away.
The sun field, though, continues to be the right field, even though, as Joe mentioned, the infield now is completely in the shadows, which is helping the hitters. That's hit hard to third through the legs of Turner. Everybody's safe. The ball was hit hard, but Turner couldn't come up with it at third.
After making a great play, he doesn't get the wicket down quick enough. So he should already be down. I think you've heard me say a lot of times on the telecast that you catch the ball out in front of you, and that was a good example of why. He got the ball, his glove down too late. If you have it out in front of you, it gives you more time to catch the ball. You can see it and watch it right into the glove.
Mike Cisco now the batter, the shortstop. It was Mike who had the game-winning RBI against Clemson as Arkansas clinched their regional championship. Takes a called strike right down through there. And Mike is from Des Peres, Missouri. That's D-E-S-P-E-R-E-S, Des Peres. It's in the St. Louis area.
It's close to our producer, Will Belke, isn't it?
Yep, Will's from that neck of the woods.
I was wondering how you learned how to pronounce it.
Skeels is at second and Randy Bob the runner at first. Bob aboard on the arrows. Skeels walked. So still no hits in the ball game for Arkansas, but they do have a scoring threat going. Runners going. The throw to third is in plenty of time. Skeels is caught stealing easily.
Obviously, he doesn't get a good jump, but you'll see here the throw is in plenty of time. In fact, he has to find him.
On the play, Bob does wind up at second base. And instead of runners at first and second and one out, there's a runner at second and 2 outs. And Randy Bob does not get credit for a stolen base. Three and 1 the count. Well, back to the same situation with 2 on. That's the second walk in the inning.
That's an interesting point you brought up, the fact that they do not give a stolen base to the runner that goes behind you. Anytime a guy is thrown out stealing, even if he would have been successful stealing third and they would have thrown out Bob going to second, he would still not get a stolen base. Anytime a player is retired, you do not get a stolen base on a double steal.
Absolutely right. Fly ball to right. Bielski now toward the line, looking up in the sun, and makes the play. They strand 2 in the second. No hits, but 2 left. No score. After 2, we'll go to the top of the third. The Dogs trying to take the lead against the Hogs with Perno, Bolke, and Carter. The double steal was in order, but it did not work out for Arkansas in the bottom of the second inning. They made some noise, but this took care of the lead runner. They did not score in the inning. Back to Omaha right after this.
Tuesday, ESPN salutes the stellar career of NBA star Julius Erving. It's a jam-packed half hour filled with special moments. Dr. J, the man and the legend. Tuesday on ESPN. Explosive. Get the biggest stories from the fastest tracks with Bob Jenkins and Larry Newber host ESPN Speed Week. Thursday nights at 7:30 Eastern, only on ESPN.
Back to the winners bracket tomorrow, live here on ESPN, 8 o'clock Eastern time for Oklahoma State. The high-scoring Cowboys against the Tigers of LSU. Should be a good one. Hope you'll join us here for game number 7. Here it is 0-0 as we go to the third inning. And the top of the order, Perno, who flied to center his first time up. The Bulldogs have had a runner in scoring position each of the first 2. A 1-out double by Bolke in the first, and they had runners at first and third with 2 outs in the second inning, but not able to score. Joe, I'd like you to follow up with the story you were telling me about the stolen base situation. You can't get credit for a stolen base in a double steal situation if one of the runners is thrown out. But what about the possibility of taking 2 bases in a steal situation?
I think I played for 20 years. The greatest base running play I ever made, I didn't get credit for it. I was on second and Bench was on first, so I take off for third. It was against the Pirates, in fact. I take off for third, and Bench is going to follow, so he goes to second. I had such a great jump, they knew they couldn't get me, so they tried to throw to second to get Bench. And so I saw the throw going down. I continued around third, and I scored before Dave Cash could get the throw back in. And I argued with the league that I should get 2 stolen bases.
Ground ball to second base. Zane throws out Perno.
So they had to rewrite the rule book because there was no rule that said you couldn't get 2 stolen bases on 1 play. And they made a rule, and Chuck Feeney, who was the league president at the time, called me and said, it was a great play, but I can only give you 1.
Nice going, but.
So I had 1 more stolen base in my career than I got credit for.
Okay. Boelke doubled his first time up, but was stranded at second in the first inning. So his hitting streak now stands at 10. He's off to a good start in the College World Series. Check swing foul.
It was interesting. Before the ball game tonight, I saw Rod Dado, who's one of my favorite people that I've met in sports, and he's here, and he was a speaker today at the luncheon. And you know, Rod won 1 or 2 of these College World Series. He's had some great players at USC, and he's in the next booth here. It was very interesting to see him. He still gets excited, he said, about the World Series.
Outside, a great credit to college baseball for many years. He won his share of championships. There was a time that Southern Cal simply dominated this event. They came to Omaha and won it every year. Line drive up the middle, base hit. So Boelke's 2 for 2. He doubled with 1 out in the first. He singles with 1 out here in the third. It'll be up to Carter and Miller.
This is a good job of hitting. The ball is down low. As you can see, a breaking ball low, and he lines it right back up the middle. The mistake a lot of hitters make is they try to pull that breaking ball, and they end up pulling off and topping it or missing it completely. Try to drive it right back up the middle and just stay with it longer.
Each team has committed an error so far. Carter hit a little looper to the second baseman his first time up. The Dogs trying to get something going. They have had base runners in every inning. 2 hits in the ball game. They've also been helped out by a walk and an Arkansas error. Slaps it the other way. The runner was on the move. Boelke, who has 4 stolen bases in 5 attempts, was moving. And one thing that Georgia kept insisting all of our meetings is that they don't run. And if you look at them statistically, they don't. Only 26 stolen bases. They've only attempted a total of 40 steals, so they simply don't run very much.
But I think he knew that we were going to meet with the Arkansas coach. Maybe he was trying to plant a seed there.
1-1. Boelke not running now. Check swing foul, and it's 1-2. Carter, the batter at the plate. To Albemarle High School, where he lettered in baseball, football, and basketball. And then to Hagerstown Junior College. Now on to the Bulldogs. In the dirt, blocked nicely though by Skeels.
As a hitter, if you watch a pitcher's motion very closely, a lot of times you can detect something different in his motion when he's going to throw the breaking ball as compared to the fastball. And what he did then, what Dennis Fletcher did then, was he really emphasized his motion and threw an off-speed pitch.
Chop foul, and that one took a big hunk out of Skeels. He'll have to walk it off. I don't think I've ever really understood, Joe, why anybody would want to be a catcher.
They call them the tools of ignorance, but I've never understood why you'd want to be a catcher either. Because it's really a thankless job when you take one off the toe like that. The only time they recognize you is when you make a good throw to second or throw out a guy trying to steal, or you block a ball. And even when you're blocking it, you're taking one off the chest or something.
And when you go down like that, they say, come on, get up, let's go.
Yeah, rub some dirt on it. Let's go.
Chop toward first. Bounces away from Eklund, and everybody's safe. I think Eklund was thinking second base and what he was going to have to do with the ball, and the result is he didn't do anything with it.
Well, he definitely misplayed it by that. I mean, he didn't. To catch a ground ball, you either try to get it on the short hop or the big hop. The worst is in between, and that's what he lets this do. See, right in between hops. He should have been back further or in closer.
Second error. The third baseman Thomas made an error earlier. Now Eklund has made an error, and there are runners at first and second. And it's making it tough on Dennis Fletcher.
But I think there's no doubt that the guys feel a little of the pressure, knowing that if they're eliminated, you know, they're back home. And that puts a little added pressure on you, especially on the infield. I think the infielders are under more pressure in a College World Series than the outfielders are.
An extra note on Miller's 4 strikeouts. He has been called out on strikes 4 times. It's not what you want in this kind of situation. You got men at first and second and only 1 out. Put the ball in play. He does in this deep center field. Moore on the move into the shadows. He lost the ball. The runners had the hold, and nobody's going to score. No, he ran through a sign. Here's the play at the plate. He'll make it. So 1 run in. Georgia has the lead and runners at second and third. Volke ran through the stop sign at third, but his coach Weber gave him, and he scores anyway. It looked like Moore had the ball in his glove. It simply dropped out, went behind him, but nobody had moved because it appeared he was going to catch the ball.
Well, he definitely got back there in time to make the play, but it hit his glove and dropped out. As you see here, he's there, and he actually hits it off the back of his glove. It seemed like he closed it a little too quickly.
It is another error. So the defensive disaster continues. Where is it?
But this is one of those plays where Weber is trying to hold him. He's saying, hold, hold, hold. Okay, hurry up, hurry up. And he ends up making it. Barely.
So now we still have runners at second and third. Carter's at third. Miller, who did put the bat on the ball, he doesn't get a hit. They score the run. Of course, it is an unearned run. Back-to-back errors here by the first baseman Eklund and by the center fielder Moore have produced a run. And Georgia's still at work now with Derek Lilliquist. A chance for him to pick up a couple of more. Lilliquist 1 for 5 in the College World Series. And it's 2-0. What does that do to a pitcher when you get into that situation?
Well, it depends on the pitcher. Some guys, as they say, bow their neck and get a little tougher. Other guys have a tendency to, you know, get down a little bit. And that's when you test how good a pitcher a guy is or what his personality is like. But I think in this situation, I don't know if I'd want to challenge Derek Lilliquist with first base open anyway. He's their best hitter.
Well,
they have a base open.
They have not so far. It's 3-0. Rich Bielski would be next. He challenged him, a ground ball to second. The play will go to first. The run scores, 2-0 Georgia. So Lilliquist gets his 62nd RBI on the ground ball. Carter scores the run. Miller moves to third. 2 outs. So now Bielski and the Dogs are still at work. And for the first time in the College World Series, they're on the plus side. They never led in that loss, the 3-2 loss to Stanford. But they've jumped up here 2-0 with a couple of unearned runs.
I'm still a little surprised that he threw that ball down the middle to Lilliquist there with his right hand to Bielski on deck.
Might be that he didn't intend to throw it right down the middle.
Right.
If it always went where you wanted it to, there'd be a lot of 120 batting averages.
Yeah, that's true.
Out the mound, Skeels will talk to Fletcher, trying to settle him down a little bit. He went 3-0 before he gave up the ground ball to Derek Lilliquist that scored the second run of the inning. Volke and Carter have scored, and the Dogs have broken out on top. There is Vince Dooley, the athletic director, on hand to watch another one of his fine teams. Grounded to third.
Nice play.
Thomas picks it and throws him out. 2 unearned runs in the top half of the third to put Georgia on top. The Bulldogs have jumped ahead of the Razorbacks. Arkansas will try to answer as we go to the bottom half of the third in Game 6 of the 1987 NCAA College World Series. It's 2-0 Georgia. Errors have killed the Dogs, or have killed the Razorbacks.
As I said before, it's really tough on the infielders here. The pressure is on the infielders to make good plays. And you see a fine play here. A guy moves to his left. Third baseman makes a fine play, straightens up and makes a good throw. That's not an easy play. That's a very tough play, especially with 2 outs and a runner on third.
But Don Thomas made it. We go to the bottom half of the third inning. The number 9 batter, Rod Moore, to lead it off. Georgia has jumped ahead 2-0. Arkansas and the fans that have followed the Razorbacks here trying to make sure they are not eliminated. Drops out of play just above the photographer's area here in Rosenblatt Stadium. Good crowd on hand tonight. Right here. Expect the attendance to continue to increase at the NCAA College World Series for the next 2 nights.
Am I on? Oh, they get paid.
Get your programs right here.
I hope that's what the $2 was for.
And ESPN is the place to be for all of the exclusive live coverage of the NCAA College World Series, continuing with single games tomorrow night and Monday night. Moore was 2 for 4 in the loss to Texas on Saturday. Scored a run. That final was 13-6, and the Razorbacks find themselves down here 2-0.
Here's a pitch that I was talking about coming in. At least see how the hitter started out over the plate. Good pitch there. Very close inside again.
And the count goes full at 3-2 on Rod Moore. The senior from Wichita, Scott Broadfoot, on the mound. Slicing into right field. Bielski comes on, can't get there, drops for a hit. Got it in on him, he fought it off and was able to dump it into shallow right center. So that is the first hit of the ball game for the Razorbacks. A leadoff third inning single by Moore.
He slices it in the right field and just drops in front of Kramer's because I don't think he could see it. You know, as we talked before, that is the sun field. There's still a little sun over there in right field.
Top of the order now. Scott Pose. Broadfoot has so far in the ballgame walked 2, and he's gone to at least 3 balls on 4 of the first 9 batters that he faced tonight. He goes around that batting order for the second time. Pose struck out his first time up. Shows bunt, pulls back, and it's a strike. Nobody out here in the bottom of the third. Arkansas trying to answer. The Bulldogs picked up a pair of runs in the top half of the third inning. Fastball tails high and away, and the count evens at 1-1. Hits 1 and 2 to the young man from Iowa Western Community College. He hit .425 last year. In high school, he lettered in football, baseball, and track. And his hobby is calligraphy. Breaking ball chopped foul at the plate, and that one caught the home plate umpire.
Most of your managers do not like to hit and run or put a guy in motion when there's 2 strikes on the hitter, unless it counts 3 and 2, because a lot of times it distracts the hitter and he ends up swinging at a bad pitch.
Bob Nelson behind the plate. He'll get a few bumps and bruises. Pose, Zane, and Kramer's coming up with a runner at first. Ground ball to second, could be 2. Perno to Swift to Freeman.
that's a tailor-made double play ground ball, and they turn it the proper way. Actually, I was surprised because Moore doesn't slide at second base. Watch. Nice play, and he comes in standing up, and you can get hurt that way.
So with 2 outs, Kelly Zane takes high and away ball 1. Zane flied to center his first time up.
The reason you get hurt that way is because we're taught as infielders and shortstop, second baseman to throw at the guy if he's standing up, because he's your target in the baseline to first base.
Sometimes on real hard hit ground balls, you'll see the guy just simply get out of the baseline.
Run out in the outfield or something like that is a proper way to do it. But
otherwise, you're going to be looking at it right between the eyes.
Because you're right in the baseline, and he has to throw to first base. And you're a pretty big target when you're standing up.
Hit hard but foul outside of third. Made to order this double play.
We'll see here. Nice feed. See, he's standing right in the baseline. He runs right to second base. And actually, the umpire said something to him afterwards. He told him to get down next time and make sure you slide.
And there are also, Joe, I don't know that you're aware of this or not, there are infielders who will drop down and sidearm that ball, too.
Yes.
I'm sure you've run into your share of those.
I think the funniest play I ever saw was Maury Wills hit Orlando Cepeda in the head like that. He didn't slide, and the ball went way down the right field line. It was one of the funniest sights I'd ever seen.
Orlando didn't think it was too funny.
No, but he started to slide from then on.
2-2 pitch is hit foul. Off to the right.
It's funny how you remember things as kids. I was a little kid going to Giants games then, and I remembered that, and it always stayed with me as I played in the major leagues. Make sure I get down so they didn't hit me in the head.
2 outs in the inning. That was a sweeping breaking pitch that dropped outside. He went for it for the second strikeout. Broadfoot gets them, and we'll move on. We get set for the fourth. The Bulldogs coming to bat, leading 2-0 over the Razorbacks of Arkansas. Freeman, Turner, and Swift coming up. This is the way it ended. We'll be right back. This is how it looks if you're in the stands in Rosenblatt Stadium. Yeah, how about a little cotton candy?
Let's go Hogs! Let's go Hogs!
The Hogs are going to have to get it going because they're down 2-0 as we go to the top of the fourth inning. 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 error for Georgia. No runs, 1 hit, and 3 costly errors for Arkansas. The 2 runs are unearned. Arkansas pitchers doing better, though, and not allowing the leadoff batters to get aboard.
Dennis Fletcher is, until that pitch, now he's thrown 60 pitches, of which 37 have been strikes. And he's been ahead of 9 of the first, well, actually 10 of the first 16 hitters now. So he's accomplishing exactly what he told me before the ball game.
He is ahead in the count here, 0-1. Trying to keep that leadoff man off base. Pete Freeman, who walked his first time up, got as far as third. That was in the second inning. Arkansas made 2 errors in the third and 1 in the fifth. Check it, 1 in the second. That was an error on 5, the third baseman. 2-1 the count here. Very pleasant night in Omaha, Nebraska. Winding up the first full weekend of activity. We'll keep it going right into next weekend. More live coverage. The 87 NCAA College World Series. One of these teams will not be around. The winner returns to play at 5 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesday.
The only time that Fletcher has a problem is when he tries to overthrow his fastball. Like that. That's out of the strike zone, but it's high fastball. He doesn't let it move. When he throws it relaxed, his ball has a lot of movement on it.
Fletcher not too big, 5'11", 165. He's just a sophomore and time is called. Apparently Pete Freeman was not ready and decided to call time. just off the outside corner. Fletcher's second walk, and the second time it's been Freeman.
And it's another 3-2 pitch, 3-2 breaking ball that he misses with. And when a guy's leading off the inning, I hate to see you walk the leadoff hitter of any inning. A lot of people say, well, if you throw it down the middle, he may hit a home run. Well, if he does, it's only a solo homer. Now, if you make a mistake and this guy hits a home run, it's a 2-run homer.
6 times in the first game against Texas, the Arkansas pitchers allowed a leadoff man aboard. He's aboard here, and that's a fly ball to right. Kramer stays with it. Michael Turner retired. And Pat Swift, who's looking for his first hit in the NCAA College World Series. 0 for 5 so far. We'll take a look down at his head coach, Steve Weber. And Steve, one of the head coaches who does work the third base coaching box.
I think they feel a little more involved, you know, when they're down at third base. And you also get a different view of the ball game. You get a different view of your hitters. You may be able to see them a little better in their movements.
Rolls a foul outside of third. And once again, Dennis Fletcher able to jump ahead in the count.
There's a sign. Maybe they're not hitting him running, or they are. You're putting something on.
Bluff to start, did not go. 1-1 the count. And of course, in the other dugout, the other manager thinking about countering with cases where the managers call all the pitches. Try to figure out what kind of a pitch, the proper one, for whatever play or plan they might have in mind.
Watch Fletcher this time. See, he tucks a little bit. I guess I shouldn't say these things because people will start to notice him, maybe the guys that are playing. But he's a little more, he emphasizes his motion a little more when he throws a breaking ball.
Now, how do you mean that? How can you tell?
I don't think I want to tell you.
Okay,
because I don't think that's fair. I shouldn't have said that anyway. I just have a problem because I always analyze pitchers because, you know, I've fought against them so long.
Ground ball to third. Thomas, the second for one on the first. Not in time. They cut down the lead runner. Freeman is retired at second. And on the forced play, Swift will be the runner at first.
It's a nice play. Thomas plays way off the line, so he cuts over in front of the shortstop. He actually gives a low throw to second. I think that caused it to be a slow pivot at second base. Watch, he has to reach down for this ball, and he takes a split second longer. He makes a good pivot. Gets rid of the ball pretty quickly.
Made it pretty close at first, but not quite in time. And that'll give Don Perno a chance. Don is 0 for 2 and 1 for 4 in the College World Series. Right down through there for a strike. Georgia leading as they bat here in the 4th inning, 2-0. They picked up a pair of unearned runs in the 3rd. I'm John Sanders along with Joe Morgan. And we're very happy to have you with us in Omaha, Nebraska tonight. Hope to see you again tomorrow when we come back with winner's bracket action.
I just have this bad habit, John, playing against pitchers so long of always looking for an edge. And then I usually can find one, you know, when you watch a pitcher long enough. But like I said, it's not fair for me to do it against this guy and not the other guy.
Other broadcast mate, Jim Cotton, I'll probably have the same problem. You study the other guys, right?
Here's a good fastball. It's a high fastball, but it does have some movement on it.
No balls and 2 strikes. You got the call on that one. Quick toss to first. Pat Swift, the runner, being held by Troy Eklund. We're in the 4th. Game 6 of the 1987 NCAA College World Series on ESPN.
A lot of pitchers use the high fastball as their strikeout pitch, and the reason is that when you release the ball high, you can get more velocity on it. When you get the ball down, usually your pitches you lose anywhere from 3 to 5 miles an hour.
Runner going, swings through it, strike 3, the inning is over. Fletcher gets his second strikeout of the ball game, and another runner is stranded. They've now left 5 in the first 4 innings, but the Bulldogs of Georgia on top here in Omaha, Nebraska, 2-0. Kramers, Skeels, and Eklund coming up. This is strikeout number 2 for the right-hander Dennis Fletcher. We'll be back right after this. Well, what about those Hogs? They've got to go to work here in the bottom of the 4th inning. A big following here from Fayetteville. University of Arkansas, the Cardinal and White against the red and black of Georgia from Athens.
That's the 47th pitch for Scott Broadfoot. 27 of them have been strikes, and he's been ahead on 7 of the 13 hitters he's faced.
Ground ball by Kramers to Perno. To Freeman, 1 out. Jim Kramers had 5 RBIs yesterday, but he hasn't anybody on base in front of him tonight. He's 0 for 2. So up to Andy Skeels now. Skeels hit .438 in the regional. We do have action in the Arkansas bullpen. They're going to loosen up Ray Harris now. Curveball drops over for a strike. Andy Skeels, of course, is quite a character. In fact, he has got to be in Joe Morgan's league because his nickname is the Sultan of Sleep. Skeels walked his first time up. Throws a foul outside of first.
One thing that Broadfoot is doing very well is he's keeping the breaking ball down now. And if you keep the breaking ball down, very few hitters are going to be able to handle it well.
Skeels was a boyhood playmate of Kurt Stillwell, who's with the Cincinnati Reds. Outstanding young player in that organization.
Yeah, because he asked me the question before the ball game. He asked me who was better, Stillwell or Larkin for Cincinnati.
Well, right now they think Larkin is.
Yeah, I had to tell him I don't know. I hadn't seen either one of them. I work for the Giants.
Apparently we've got a little bit of a problem. As the trainer and the coach come out to take a look. See if he is having a physical problem on the mound. The throw a pitch.
No. Seems to be having a problem with his leg, his right leg. Or the right side of his body. It may be his hip. But he is having some discomfort on the right side of his body.
Let's get an update as we go down to the dugout area. Tim Brando standing by. Tim?
All right, John and Joe, thank you very much. They were concerned about a twisted ankle as he was coming off the rubber. Apparently he's all right, but reminds me a little bit about of what happened in the major leagues not too long ago with Sid Fernandez. Could have been one of those freak accidents, but that's what they were concerned about, was the ankle.
1-2 the count on Andy Skeels.
One of the things that you have to be aware of when you're watching a pitcher is if he does have something wrong with his leg, Wade Lands can put pressure on his arm. Case in point was Dizzy Dean. He had a broken toe and tried to pitch, and he really ruined his arm.
Takes inside. And the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. I think there are some Arkansas fans here, or what? Yeah, hold it upright.
Look at the hog hat.
A hot item.
I don't think I'd want one.
3-2, full count. 1 out. Kramers was retired. side, another base on balls. That's 3 walks allowed thus far by Scott Broadfoot. Steals aboard, and that'll give Troy Eklund a chance. He lined out to third baseman Turner his first time up. He'll look at Doug Clark. Clark, of course, taking the signals from Norm DeBryan. Norm's had some pretty good players. We mentioned Kevin McReynolds and Jeff King a little earlier. Johnny Ray of the Pirates. Tim Lawler now with the Red Sox. And Ron Reynolds, who's now in the Phillies organization. Used to be with the Mets. All products of Arkansas baseball. Got the foul at the plate. Eklund is 2 for 6 in the College World Series. This NCAA championship event. Arkansas in an unusual position. They finished second in 1979, third in 1985, and this is the first time they've ever lost their opening game in the College World Series. Down too low. Darkness beginning to creep in on Rosenblatt Stadium. 38 straight years that the fine city of Omaha has hosted this event. An announcement today that they will be back again in 1988 to Omaha. Fouled it back. It's 1-2. Rattled the windows on the right side over there. A 2-0 ball game. Georgia with the only 2 runs. They picked up a pair of unearned runs in the third. We're now in the bottom of the fourth. Dancing back at first is Skeels. Andy was in scoring position one other time when he walked the lead off the second. He got to second and was thrown out trying to steal third. Rolled right in front of the plate. The only play is to first. It's in time there, and Skeels is at second with 2 outs.
Again, Broadfoot gets the breaking ball down, and they chase it, and all you can do is hit the top of it. As you'll see here, it's a good curveball, good 2-strike pitch. See how low that pitch is, and it's also away. And there's nothing that Troy can do with it. So Eklund grounds it back to the pitcher.
And that will bring up Randy Bob. Back in the lineup. The broken bone in his little finger of his left hand. Wearing that heavily taped area really for support. Give that hand some support.
The toughest thing to do in baseball is to hit when something is wrong with your hands, because you use them so, you know, that you have to have a feel for the bat. You have to feel like you can throw the barrel of the bat at the ball. So anytime you have a hand injury, it's far more difficult to hit than it would be, say, with a leg injury or something like that. Sometimes a leg injury can help you, especially if it's to your front foot or front side, because it makes you stay back.
Bob with a .381 batting average. They wanted his stick in the lineup, and they've got it. Swing and a miss there. He reached on an error his first time up, an error by the third baseman Turner. See one error that the Bulldogs have committed. Arkansas has made 3. 2 of them in 1 inning. That gave Georgia 2 runs. 2-0 is the score in Omaha. This is game 6 of the 1987 NCAA College World Series.
John, I think when you have a hand injury, it hurts you more when you swing and miss. If you make contact or even foul it back, it doesn't hurt you normally as much. See, that swing there wouldn't hurt as much as the one before. When you swing and miss, it just seems to put a lot of pressure on the spot that's sore. But when you make contact, it does not bother you. Maybe it's distributed through the bat.
Now the Razorbacks see their average with runners in scoring position. They really have not had as many opportunities. Backhand play by the catcher Miller. It looks routine, but it isn't always routine. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 1 on. Breaking ball hit into center field, base hit. Steals around third, headed for the plate. Carter falls down and overruns the ball. The runner will move on to second on the play. So Randy Bob gets the RBI. And on the misplay in center field by Carter, he winds up at second. It's a hit and an error. Give an RBI to Randy Bob, and that cuts the lead in half. It's 2-1.
We got a center fielder here. Let's see what kind of jump he gets on this pitch. It's an excellent bit of hitting by Randy Bob. He reaches and gets the low and away slider and lines it into center field. Let's see if we can listen for the bat to crack of the bat and see how quickly the center fielder's off. Got a good jump. He started moving right away. As you can see, just ran past the ball.
Back to live action. It's bunted right in front. The catcher fields it and throws him out. So Cisco trying to bunt his way on, not able to do it. But the Razorbacks come up with a run here in the fourth inning. We'll move to the top of the fifth. It's now Georgia 2 and Arkansas 1.
The only reason you bunt in baseball is to move runners along or to start an inning off to, get something started. You already have a runner in scoring position, and bunting here was only going to move him to third with 2 outs. It's very rarely you ever see a guy bunt with 2 outs and a tying run at second base. You should try to drive him in. Even if you're not a good hitter, you still should try to drive him in, because a bunt's only going to move him over 1 more base, and it'll be left up to the next hitter.
Good crowd on hand in Rosenblatt Stadium, Omaha, Nebraska. That, by the way, the second time in this series that a Georgia outfielder has made an error on a base hit. This one, though, did not come back to haunt them because they retired the side. Against Stanford, an unearned run did result after an error in the outfield, but not this time. So there was the error, but the run is still earned. The RBI is credited on the play to Randy Bob. So it's 3 balls and no strikes.
Scott's had a perfect night so far.
2 for 2. He scored a run. Fletcher now working on a 3-0 count. On 4 pitches. It's his third walk. And the leadoff man is aboard. Second straight inning that the leadoff man has been walked. This was the big problem for Arkansas in the 13-6 loss to Texas. 13 walks. 6 times the Longhorns got the leadoff man on. 4 times the leadoff man scored.
What happens sometimes is when a guy has hit you hard, like Scott had, hit him too hard twice, you say, well, I got to try a different pitch or be a little finer with it. And you end up making mistakes, of course.
It's 5 straight bad ones now.
But he still seems to be trying to throw the ball harder than he's really capable of. He's overthrowing. And right in this case, you want a ground ball to try to get a double play, so he wants the sinker or the movement that he's been getting on the ball, sinking down and away from the left-handed hitter. Right there.
Carter goes down the line foul. Steve is 0 for 2, but he reached on an error in the 3rd inning and scored a run. We have activity in the bullpen. Keith Helton. Is out there. A left-hander starts to loosen, throwing behind Dennis Fletcher. It's a 2-1 ball game. We're in the 5th inning. Balls and 1 strike to count. Bolke aboard at first. Carter trying to keep it going for the Bulldogs. Runner going, and the pitch is fouled back. So Bolke was on the move that time. Carter fouled it away. We'll back up and do it again.
So as the coach told us, they don't do much. He did hit and run with Carter. I guess that's right. He did say he hit and run with Carter a little bit.
They tried it that time. We'll see what they do on 2 and 2. Earlier when they started runners, they started them on only 1 pitch, and that was it. They didn't start them again. waits on a 2-2 pitch. Bolke at first. Fletcher to the stretch. And to the plate. Grounded foul outside of first base. And again, we'll back it up and do it all over again. Bolke's been on base 3 times, a double, a single, and now a walk. And Carter, his nickname is Magic, waits at the plate. Fletcher taking a lot of time. And the count goes full. He walked Bolke on 4 pitches. He's now gone 3 and 2 on Carter. Hitting to right field, the vacated spot. Around second, on his way to third as the ball slows down in right field is Bolke. So runners at the corners, nobody out for the Georgia Bulldogs here in the 5th inning.
It's a breaking ball that he hangs up high. And Carter's able to hit it in the hole to right field. You see Bolke comes around to third.
He didn't exactly turn
I was going to say,
he
did that rather gingerly, didn't he?
And that gives Roger Miller a chance. He's 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 6 in the series, and he's been called out on strikes 4 times. Did reach on an error in the 3rd inning. A chance for some redemption. It's a 2-1 ball game, and the Bulldogs trying to break it open here against Dennis Fletcher. Pops it up on the right side. Eklund into foul territory. 1 away.
Miller, I think, is a little anxious because he went after a pitcher's pitch, and with no strikes, that's a tough pitch to try to handle, or at least to try to hit to the outfield to drive in a runner. He wasn't very patient there. A good breaking ball down and away out of the strike zone, actually.
So now it's up to Derek Lilliquist, who has an RBI tonight. He hit a 3-0 pitch to the second baseman to drive in Steve Carter in the 3rd. Both Georgia runs scored in that inning. Both were unearned. Lilliquist is grounded out to the right side both times tonight. Again, that big hole on the right side. Second baseman with 1 out shading towards second, and there's a lot of room on the right side. That's where Carter hit the ball.
There's a big hole, as you mentioned, between first and second, as you can see. And a good left-handed hitter will try to take advantage of that hole at all times because you don't have to hit the ball very hard to get it through there.
He pops it up into left field.
I think it's deep enough, though.
Bolke will tag. The throw comes to the shortstop, and another run for the Bulldogs. So Lilliquist gets the job done again, his 2nd RBI of the night on the sacrifice fly to left field. Three to 1. Georgia out in front. 2 outs. Carter still at first. And Bielski will be the batter. The Dogs saw their 2-0 lead cut in half in the bottom of the 4th. They come right back in the top half of inning number 5 to re-establish that 2-run lead. Lilliquist now with 63 runs batted in to tie Carter and Freeman in that category. So the offense evenly distributed among those 3. Carter still at first. And the walk comes back to haunt Fletcher. Five of those 8 leadoff men who've gotten on base in the NCAA College World Series have scored. That has been a problem for Arkansas. In this case, it was a leadoff walk to Bolke, and he scored the run here in the inning. On the corner, called strike. It's 2-1.
Since Fletcher's gotten in trouble this inning, he's gone almost exclusively to the breaking ball. He's thrown quite a few sliders.
Joe and I will be right back here Monday night on ESPN. We continue our live exclusive coverage of the NCAA College World Series. Oklahoma State, Jerry Ward's Cowboys, winners over Arizona State 8-3 on Friday. A record of 57-11, taking on LSU. The Fighting Tigers beat Florida State on Friday. And then earlier today, it was Florida State eliminating Arizona State. The Sun Devils, the first team eliminated in 1987.
Well, I think if you're going to run a guy, 2 balls and 1 strike is the time to run, or 3 and 1, when you get ahead of the pitcher in that he can't pitch out, and he's more concerned with throwing a strike than anything else.
We'll keep an eye on him.
I thought he was more concerned than anything else.
Fairly close play at first, but John Bible says he's back in time.
That is almost a perfect lead in that it looks like the reason I'm saying that is he's up the baseline and it looks to the pitcher. The angle looks like he doesn't have as big a lead as he actually does, because the closer you get to the pitcher, the less the angle looks that he can tell how far you're away from the bag.
Not running, and it's 3-1. 2 outs now with Carter at first. Bielski 0 for 6 in the NCAA College World Series, still looking for that first hit. Apparently it was 2-1 previous to that. Scoreboard now shows 2-1. Seems like he's been up there for an hour, doesn't he?
He's thrown more than 3 pitches.
We'll have to get the count straightened out.
Is this the same hitter?
It's been up there for 2 days.
And all of
It's 3-1.
I mean, we've talked about 3 pitches.
He's going to stay there till he gets one he likes. That's not it. Now he walks. So we'll move on down in the order. The number 7 batter, Pete Freeman, who's walked twice. That's the second walk in this inning, 4th in the ball game for Fletcher. Cause of concern along that Arkansas bench. All the Razorback pitchers walked 13 in the loss to Texas. The Hogs are down 3-1 here. Freeman capable of doing some damage. He's got 15 homers, 63 runs batted in. He's been on base twice tonight. Inside to him. Well, Dennis Fletcher is struggling in this 5th inning. Got the call on the corner.
The only pitch he's been able to throw for a strike has been the breaking ball here.
All his fastballs seem to be up.
Right. I think he's trying to throw it a little too hard. I think he figures he's tired and he's trying to reach back and get a little more. Good strike.
Throw through to second. They've got the runner caught off. The rundown continues. And that's the tag that ends the inning. So Steve Carter got picked off at second. The caught stealing ends the inning, but one more for the Bulldogs. They expand their lead halfway through tonight's game. It's 3-1, Georgia over Arkansas. We'll be back with the bottom of the 5th. Thomas, Moore, Poe coming up.
Due to time constraints, we must now move ahead in our action.
ESPN's live presentation of the 1987 NCAA College World Series is being brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores. Call 1-800-LET-NAPA for the nearest location. By Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste. Everything else is just a light. And by Mercury, makers of the all-new Mercury Tracer. Mercury, the shape you want to be in.
We'll take a look at the pitching charts. See Dennis Fletcher getting ready.
There we go.
There we are, Dennis Fletcher. You see the pitches, balls, and strikes. 96 pitches at halfway is quite a few pitches, actually. And he's pitched a good ball game otherwise. Strikeouts to walk ratio is pretty good. But 96 pitches after 5 innings is a lot of pitches. That means he would throw almost 200 pitches if he completed the ball game.
I think the big question there would be if.
Right.
Ground ball to short. Cisco to Eklund. 1 out. We'll go downstairs now to Tim Brando.
We should mention that Helton is ready. Keith Helton, the left-hander. They had him warm. As a matter of fact, John and Joe, Fletcher was 1 batter away perhaps from being out of this ball game in the last inning. He has battled, and pitching coach Dave Jordan told me that he's always been difficult to figure, but when you look at the number of pitches that have been thrown, and there have been many so far, if they start hitting him with any degree of depth, 1-2 hits in a row, he could be out, and Helton could be right back into this game.
Well, I think that's also the question that we were raising up here with the number of pitches, just how long he would be able to go.
I think what you have to do anytime you look at pitcher statistics, you have to gauge those over 9 innings ball game. For instance, if you guys thrown 69 innings, you have to divide that by 9 to come up with what he does in an average ball game. By that I mean if he strikes out 70 guys in 69 innings, obviously he strikes out more than 9 guys a game, and that's what you have to project it on for it to make any sense. Because if you just look and say 69 2/3, 80 walks, all this, it really doesn't mean anything.
That's popped foul on the right side. Eklund to the fence, and it drops out of play. In the little open area between the grandstand and the bleachers. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Michael Turner. Turner is 0 for 2. He's been on base 1 time, reached on a walk. Michael had 3 hits in the loss to Stanford. So he's 3 for 6 in the NCAA College World Series. Three runs on 3 hits for Georgia, 1 run on 3 hits for Arkansas. And that's strikeout number 3.
He didn't seem to be fooled on that pitch, but I guess the speed had him out front because he seemed to be right on the breaking ball. You'll see here he has a good swing at it, but I guess the speed fools him. See, he's not really, he has a good swing. Actually opened up a little too soon as well, so it was the speed that fooled him.
Pat Swift now. Pat looking for his first hit in the NCAA College World Series. The battle for the national championship of collegiate baseball. 7 teams remain. Arizona State has been eliminated. And one of these 2 teams in this double elimination tournament will go home after tonight. Fouled out of play over the right side.
It's one of the rare changeups that Dennis Fletcher throws. He told me he would only throw a few during the ball game. It's not one of his main pitches.
A 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball at strike 2. Oklahoma State, LSU, Texas, and Stanford all won their opening games. We'll see those 2 teams, those 4 teams, Monday and Tuesday. Florida State eliminating Arizona State, so the Seminoles still alive, and either Arkansas or Georgia will continue here in Omaha. And of course, with the suspended game last night in the rain, Georgia in the unenviable position of having the opportunity to lose 2 games in 1 day and be eliminated the same day. But they're out in front right here. Hits it into left center field. Moore and Pose on the move. It is Moore who runs it down in the alley. So 1, 2, 3. That's the 6th. We'll go to the bottom half of inning number 6. We'll see hitters 3, 4, and 5. Right now it's Georgia out on top 3-1 over Arkansas. The ball hit well in the alley into left center field, but Moore and Coles close on it, and Moore ends the inning just like that. Darkness closing in on Omaha, and Arkansas trying to make sure that darkness does not close in on them in the '87 NCAA College World Series, because they're down by 2 and facing possible elimination here. Scott Broadfoot goes to work.
As you see his chart, he's thrown 84 pitches through the same amount of innings, thrown a few more strikes.
Line down the left field line, foul. And a little more on the pitching chart, and the job being done by Broadfoot.
And he has 3 walks and 3 strikes out. That's not very good, but you want to have at least 2-to-1 ratio, 2 strikeouts for every walk. But he's done the important thing. He's kept his team ahead.
Kramer's at the plate 0 for 2 tonight. Dumps it towards center field. That's got a chance to drop for a base hit, and does. But Jim Kramer's did not hit it very hard, but it dropped in for a base hit.
It's a high fastball, and he doesn't get the barrel out. He jams him a little bit, and he hits this little dumper in the center field. Too deep for the shortstop and second baseman, and too shallow for the center fielder.
The Kramers, nicknamed Non-Dairy, will take it.
Is that Chris's?
No, that's truly his.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure Chris will love it, though. Skeels has walked twice and scored 1 run. That's the only run for Arkansas. They're down by a pair. It's 3-1. Razorbacks trying to get the offense going a little bit.
And of course, we're talking about Chris Berman, the ESPN announcer.
ESPN Sports Center
announcer.
Arkansas had 6 hits and 6 runs against Texas. There's a line drive base hit to center field. He didn't jam him that time, did he, Joe? He drilled that ball to center. First hit in the series for Andy Skeels, and back-to-back singles lead off the bottom of the 6th inning for Arkansas.
As they say, when you're 2 runs down, you're a bloop and a blast away from the tie ball game. They got the bloop, and this is a blast. It's just too low. And the pitcher's trying to protect himself by getting out of the way, and he does a good job.
So now Troy Eklund, who's lined out to third and grounded out to the pitcher. Eklund has a conversation with third base coach Doug Clark. And for Georgia, this is Chris Carpenter. He pitched earlier today, pitched a couple of innings, finished up that ball game for Georgia, pitched the 8th and 9th, and pitched very, very well. They get a chance to do it again, pitching 2 NCAA College World Series games in the same day. Defensively, they play for the bunt with the runner at first and second, and the first baseman Freeman was charging on the plate. Turner was not coming all the way on the plate. The third baseman. Let's see how they set it up defensively now. Pretty much the same way, Joe. They're bringing the first baseman, but the third baseman Turner's playing back, staying close to home.
Now, most of the time, unless you put a play on, you don't bring your third baseman. As you can see, he's kind of sideways there. The reason for that is so he can see the runner as well as the ball at the plate.
There's the bunt. Right back to the pitcher. So the sacrifice works perfectly. Score at 1-4. And now we have the tying runs in scoring position. Runners at second and third. Kramers, who singled, is at third. Skeels, who singled, is at second, and it's up to Randy Bobb. He owns the only RBI for Arkansas tonight, playing for the first time in 6 games. Now, obviously, Coach Norm DeBryan put him in the lineup strictly for this reason. Give him a chance. He's driven in 1 run tonight with a hit. He's 1 for 2. Drives this one deep to left field. Back to the wall. It's gone. A 3-run homer. And just like that, the Razorbacks have taken the lead.
Well, as I mentioned, the pitch that won't give him any trouble would be the high pitch. And this is a high breaking ball, and he just drives it right out of the ballpark.
A big blast for Bob, his 5th home run of the year. He has 4 RBIs in this game, all of them for Arkansas, and the Hogs have moved ahead of the Dogs.
So this pitch is high, and therefore you don't have to use your hands as much. You just use your brute strength, and he drives the ball right out of the ballpark. Way out, in fact.
Bolke in left field didn't move very far. Don't hurt your finger with the high fives. And Coach Weber will go to the mound. Looks over at Carpenter. A 3-run home run by Randy Bobb. He has 4 RBIs. We will have the pitching change made right now. That'll do it for Scott Broadfoot. He leaves with his team down by a run. It's 4-3. Arkansas on the home run by Randy Bobb has regained the lead. We'll be back. It is 4-3. Arkansas has come up with 3 runs here in the bottom of the 6th inning to take the lead. It'll be, there's the home run hitter. Carpenter comes on in relief. Chris Carpenter actually came in last night in the 6th inning, pitched 2 innings last night. Came back again this morning in that rain-suspended game, pitched 2 innings this morning. So he worked a total of 4 innings in that game. Gave up 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. Did not allow any runs.
Seems to have good velocity on his fastball and good movement. And he's been a relief pitcher most of the year, so he knows exactly what his arm can do and what he can't in certain situations.
Well, a tip of the hat to you. You said a bloop, a blast. Actually, they got a bloop, a bloop, a blast, and another blast.
Right.
And they have the lead, 4-3. 6 hits now for Arkansas. Cisco is caught looking. All 6 hits came off Broadfoot. And all the runs charged to him.
You see the catcher set up on the outside corner, and the only difference is a little high. It was right on the corner.
So now the batter is Don Thomas. Fouls the first pitch back. Chris Carpenter very effective against Stanford in his 4 innings of work.
Well, he took Broadfoot's place, and Broadfoot was throwing a few breaking balls, going with his fastball. Carpenter's coming in, and he's throwing probably about 8 to 10 miles an hour faster. And it's a little tough to adjust when you've seen a guy all game throwing slow compared to Carpenter. And all of a sudden now they start coming after you at the fastball. It makes it a lot more difficult to adjust to.
Swing and a miss.
As you can see, they're all a little late on him.
There are 2 outs in the inning. It's a ball and 2 strikes. There's activity as well for Arkansas. That's the starting pitcher, Dennis Fletcher. He's trying to stay loose in what has turned out to be a rather lengthy inning. I'm sure he'll take it, though, even if he has to go throw it.
Yeah, he won't complain.
Keep that arm from getting stiff.
You just saw a pitch there to completely tie Don Thomas up. It's a fastball running in from Chris Carpenter. He's been throwing the fastball away, and he ran that one in tight. There was nothing that Thomas could do with it. Now he's back outside again.
And just missed outside. The count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 outs, and following the home run by Randy Bobb, there's nobody aboard. Bob has all 4 RBIs for Arkansas. Yesterday for the Razorbacks, Jim Kramer's had 5 of the 6. All of their run production has come from 2 players in the lineup. Of course, Bob did not play yesterday against Texas.
He actually had missed 6 ball games in a row, John. So it's great hitting to walk out here and miss 6 games and come out and just drive in 4 runs. But I guess it did take him a little while to get started. He made an out his first time up. Well, he was safe on an error.
Right.
Good fastball. Right on the
Called
corner.
strike, and that'll do it. Carpenter comes on to pick up 2 strikeouts and end the 6th inning. But it's a big 6th inning for Arkansas because the Razorbacks come back to take the lead 4-3. Little celebration time for the Hogs.
Feel the excitement of championship college baseball. The best teams in America battle in the NCAA College World Series. Live tonight at 8 Eastern, exclusively on ESPN.
Before his starting assignment in the title game, Eddie Delzer of Fullerton State had pitched only 2 shaky innings of relief in the '84 World Series. But as a surprise starter in the championship game, he outdueled Texas ace Greg Swindell. The key play came in the 5th with the tying run on and 2 outs.
That one ripped. Delzer. Play. Oh, wow. Fantastic. Oh, what hands by Eddie Delzer.
We are in the 7th. Arkansas has come up with 3 runs in the bottom half of the 6th inning to grab the lead. So the rally caps are on. And some of them are serious.
Yes.
Top of the order in the 7th inning. It's a 4-3 ball game. Perno does not have a hit tonight. He's flied out, grounded out, and struck out. Fletcher with 3 strikeouts and 4 walks so far in the ball game. Drives this one into left center field. Moore to the warning track. Can't catch up with it as it bangs the wall in left center field. Perno around second. He'll stop with a double. So a leadoff double, and back come the Bulldogs. We talked about it earlier. They don't play the outfield that deep, and there was just no way that Moore could get to the ball.
Well, Perno crushed this ball in a high pitch, and he hit it high and deep to center field, and you can't get back there. The ball hits the wall in the air, and it bounces away, but he really hit the ball hard there.
He went the other way with it a little bit. Sets the table for Scott Volke. Volke is 2 for 2. Scored 2 runs. And he'll try to pick up that tying run. We're in the 7th. Chopper to third. Through into left field as Thomas cannot field it. Perno stops at third, and the runner's at the corners.
One of the differences between college baseball and pro baseball is Scott Volke should have been trying to hit the ball to the right side to move him over. But he gets a base hit, and the guy can still only go to third because he has the hole when you hit the ball on the left side.
He got it through the left side. Let's go down to Tim Brando.
They're going to get him out of the game now, fellas. The left-hander is ready. Helton, he's making the move right now, as you can see, with Carter, the on-deck batter, swinging from the left side. Regardless of the last batter, more than likely Norm DeBryan would have gone for the left-hander Helton out of the pen. So he's ready, and the other left-hander, as you can see there, Carter, is also ready.
So the pitching change will be made in Omaha, Nebraska. Arkansas trying to hang on to a 1-run lead, and the Bulldogs of Georgia trying to survive. Keith Helton, 6'3", 190-pound senior from North Little Rock, Arkansas, is the new pitcher. 1-1 his record with 3 saves. This is his 13th appearance of the season. His ERA is 4.78. Close the book on Fletcher partially. Can't finish off the runs yet because 2 men on base are his responsibility, but he gets credit for 6+ innings, 5 hits, 3 runs so far. Only one of the runs is earned.
The Georgia bench seems to be very relaxed now.
But they have not turned their rally caps around yet until they get these guys across the plate, right?
Yeah, but they're relaxed. I like that.
Perno and Bolke aboard. Bolke has 3 hits in the ball game. Carter got a base hit his last time up. And 2 of the next 3 batters swing from the left side. Carter's also reached on an error and scored. One ball.
Defense is playing back for the double play. They'll concede the run if they can get a double play to get the go-ahead run off the bases.
Ground ball to third. Bobbled at third. The play to second is in time to cut down that man. The run scores. The game is tied. Paperno, who led it off with a double, scores the run, and the Dogs get even with the Hogs.
Baby. Come on now. Rope one, baby. All right.
Actually, you'll see what I think is a good play by Don Thomas at third. Even though he knocks the ball down right, look how quick his hands are and how quickly he gets the ball to second base. I don't think they could have turned 2 on this play because he was going to his right and he wasn't going to be able to get a lot on the throw.
So give the RBI to Carter. Miller at the plate now with 1 out and the runner at first. So what you do in that situation, you try to stay away from the big inning. You cut down that guy at second. Yeah, the game's tied, but you're not behind and you're trying to stay away from big trouble.
And the last thing you want to do this late in the ball game is get behind.
It is the top of the 7th. The game is tied at 4. Georgia 4 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors. Arkansas 4 runs, 6 hits, and 3 errors. And Vince Dooley, a concerned fan from Athens, the athletic director, on to try to take home some more hardware. He's already locked up championships in gymnastics and tennis this year, this spring, as a matter of fact. Georgia has gotten even with Arkansas. Carter had not strayed very far. Carter was picked off last time he got on base by the catcher. Caught in a rundown and eventually tagged out.
And he was in scoring position then at second base.
Fouls it straight back. It's 1-2. The advantage goes to Helton. Ball game in the 7th inning. We've got a good one going in Omaha. Pretty close.
Real close.
Batter at the plate. Roger Miller did a little acting on that play. Pitch didn't miss by very much.
For a guy that's been called out on strikes 4 times in this World Series, I don't know how he could take that pitch.
Miller is 0 for 7 in the NCAA College World Series. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Carter at first.
He'll go over to first base here.
Eklund has to dance over Carter.
For a lot of you fans at home, if you could watch the catcher's signs, and he gives you the thumb over toward the bag, over toward first, that means he wants the pitcher to throw over there. Now he wants to pitch away. And he gets it away.
And all Miller can do is reach out and foul it off.
A lot of times if you're watching a ball game, there are a lot of little games that go on during the game, within the game actually. When the catcher and the pitcher is working together properly, it's a thing of beauty. That's an interesting rally cap position there.
And just a flat-footed toss to first base. It's 4-4 here in Omaha, Nebraska. Carter has more steals than anybody in the lineup. The Bulldogs not a running team.
7 stolen bases in over 60 games is not very good. You're correct. And he is the leading base stealer on the ball club.
Well, he's playing for a coach, Steve Weber, who simply doesn't have the stolen base as part of his repertoire.
He subscribes to the Earl Weaver theory of the 3-run homer.
Another 2-2 pitch is due Roger Miller.
This should be a breaking ball inside or a slide or something inside.
Yeah, called him out on strikes.
Right on the inside corner.
Well, the first strikeout of the ball game for Helton, and he's trying to avoid big trouble here if he can get out of this inning.
He's thrown a couple of pitches away. Now he goes back inside, and he ties Roger Miller up completely. Miller was looking for the ball away.
That is the 5th time that he's been called out on strikes in 8 at-bats here in Omaha. Lilliquist has 2 RBIs without a hit tonight. Ground ball to get one home in the 3rd. Sacrifice fly to chase home the 3rd run in the 5th inning. In this inning, Carter gets the RBI as the Dogs have tied it up. It's 4-4.
I was watching the first pitch to Lilliquist. He is a good hitter because his stride does not change even though it's a left-handed pitcher on the mound.
Slaps it foul and out of play. It's 1-1. The weather a little more pleasant this evening, wouldn't you say, Joe?
Yes, a lot more desirable than last night.
And the heavy thunderstorms. Winds continue to blow out from the south. Temperature very pleasant. A good start to the '87 NCAA baseball championship. Tied him up with that pitch up and in.
You've seen him throw a fastball away. You've seen him come back inside with the fastball. That's good pitching. You throw a fastball away or a breaking ball away, and then you come back inside to keep him honest. And he got lucky and had him chase a pitch.
Again, there's that little quick flip to first before he really gets back on the rubber.
I think a left-handed pitcher is far more effective against left-handed hitters if he can throw the fastball inside. Everyone says, well, you throw the breaking ball away. That's true. But you can't always get it away. But if you can throw that fastball inside,
they've got him picked off. And he's tagged out. So the 2nd time in the ball game that Carter's been picked off and caught stealing. That'll do it for inning number 7. But the Bulldogs come up with the run they needed to tie this one up. We go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. 4-4 is our score. Moore, Hose, and Zane coming up for Arkansas. The Hogs will try to go to work on the Dogs. And this is the way the inning ended. Tie ball game, 4-4 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Along with Tim Brando and Joe Morgan, I'm John Sanders, and at the plate for the Razorbacks is Rod Moore. Hitters 9, 1, and 2 due up. Check swing foul. Moore tonight is 1 for 2. He's also struck out in the ball game. Carpenter came on in the 6th inning to get the final 2 outs, both on strikeouts. Slider away, so Carpenter and Helton become the pitchers of record. But give Keith Helton some credit. He came in a tough situation. Runners at 1st and 3rd, nobody out. He gave up a run, but that was it. Pretty much closed the door. So the 4 runs are all charged to Fletcher. The 4 Georgia runs are charged to Fletcher. 2 of them earned, 2 unearned. And the 4 runs scored so far by Arkansas are all charged to Scott Broadfoot.
Good breaking ball. That's a good kind of sidearm slider. And they caught the outside corner.
And that's 3 straight batters who've been caught looking.
He had an idea. He wanted to go for it, but he thought the ball was going to break farther away than it did.
So Carpenter has been tough. After working 4 scoreless innings against Stanford last night and again this morning in the completion of that suspended game, he's still throwing strikes.
The way that Helton threw coming in and the way that Carpenter's throwing, this could be decided by a mistake, which you don't like to see. But when you have 2 pitchers this late in the ball game that are fresh, usually a mistake by the defense will be the one that be something that decides the ball game.
Well, we're down to the final 2.5 innings. Ground ball to short. Swift Flips, throws, not in time.
He feels it cleanly, but he goes down on his knee, and all he could do is get up and throw it, and the guy beats it out. He's flying anyway. That's a base hit.
So that's base hit number 7, an infield single for Scott Pose with 1 out. And the batter is Kelly Zane. Takes a strike. It's an infield hit, but it's the kind of play you like to see your infielders be able to make.
Well,
too.
they're supposed to make it, but he's lost his balance. Actually, he was trying to make sure he stayed down on the ball, keep it from going between his legs. He did a good job with that, but he got a little bit off balance. It wasn't an easy play.
Kelly Zane is 0 for 3.
I like the movement of the ball that Carpenter has. I mean, his ball is really live.
Pitch out. And Pose, who has 20 stolen bases, was not going anywhere.
I think the last thing you want to do here is worry about Pose at first base. You have to worry about getting the next 2 hitters, and then he can't score. So you do not want to divide your attention here and not make a good pitch to the plate. This late in the ball game, you have to get the hitter out. You've lost the hitter at first. You have to control the other next couple of hitters.
Chop towards short. 1 out there on the first, the double play.
That's the way to do it.
Swift was on the move on the play and ran right into that double play. So that ends the inning. We're still tied at 4 as we go to the top half of inning number 8. Lilliquist, Beal, Freeman coming up. 4-4 ball game here. We head for the top of the 8th inning. For Georgia, it's been Bolke with 3 hits. He scored a couple of runs. All the offense for Arkansas has been supplied by Randy Bobb. He's 2 out of 3, and the difference in this ball game for Arkansas, keeping them in, actually gave them a lead for a while, was this 3-run home run that Bob unloaded back in the 6th inning. Got his team ahead in the ball game. They enjoyed it for a while, but right back came the Bulldogs in the 7th inning, and they tied the ball game up. We move on to the 8th now in Omaha, Nebraska. Lilliquist, who is at the plate. When Steve Carter was picked off, 2nd time in the ball game that's happened to Steve.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to nail him to one of those bags when he gets on again.
Well, the first time it went 2-6-5-4. This time it went 1-3-6-3 on the pickoff. Officially registered as a caught stealing. Two balls and no strikes. Lilliquist with a couple of RBI in the game. 0 for 2 officially. And 1 for 6 in the NCAA College World Series 1987. And we certainly hope you enjoyed ESPN's live coverage of the Stanley Cup Championship. Hats off to the Edmonton Oilers. They win another title. Slicing into left center field. Moore has to run a long way and makes it.
That's good communication there in the outfield, because you'll see Moore take charge here and say, I've got it. And the center fielder is in control. See, that's very good communication, because actually the left fielder had a chance of catching it also, but the center fielder is in charge. He took control, and that's what you want, especially late in the ballgame. You can't have people colliding out there.
Bielski right now batting .324. He's dropped 3 points off his average tonight with his 0 for 2. Been on base 1 time, walked, still looking for his first hit in the NCAA College World Series. Is 0 for 6. He's overmatched right there. 0-1.
As I said before, the high fastball is the toughest pitch in baseball to hit when it has some velocity on it. Very few guys can throw that same speed low. You have a little more speed on that high fastball.
And that high fastball is the one that those big right-handed batters love to go after, too.
Right. Especially from a left-handed hitter. Ted Williams, who I consider the greatest hitter ever lived, that's what he always said. The toughest pitch to hit is the high fastball.
There's a high fly ball into center field. And Moore will have his second putout of the inning.
And in my experiences of playing, I'd have to agree with him. Every once in a while, I could make contact with some other pitches, but that high fastball was always tough. One of the reasons guys like Nolan Ryan and those guys have been great over their career, because he throws the high fastball so well.
2 up and 2 down in this, the 8th inning. Freeman 0 for 1. He's walked twice. Georgia and Arkansas battling to stay alive in the '87 NCAA College World Series. That slice to right field. Kramer's near the warning track, makes the catch. 3 fly balls, 3 outs. We've played 7.5 in Game 6. We're all even between Georgia and Arkansas at 4-4. We'll go to the bottom half of inning number 8. ESPN's live presentation of the NCAA College World Series is being brought to you tonight by Diet Coke. You're going to drink it just for the taste of it. By Job's Spikes. Job's does the job at the roots. And by Guardian Brakes, the quality line of brake parts and hardware for your American or imported car. 4-4, bottom half of the 8th inning. And if you're an Arkansas fan, you got to be thinking, hey, let's get one here, close them out, and play again on Wednesday. And if you're a Georgia fan, you say, well, let's get through this and go to work in the top of the 9th.
Well, you've got the middle of the order up.
Hitters 3, 4, and 5. Kramers, Skeels, and Eklund to face Carpenter. And Carpenter's just been terrific. He's given up 1 hit.
Against someone else, you may have a shot at breaking it open, but Carpenter has shown me that he is an excellent relief pitcher, and it's going to be tough to score any runs off of him. That's why I say I think a mistake is going to determine who wins the ball game. Although I hope I'm wrong, because I hate for that to happen.
Jim Kramers with a base hit and a run scored his last time up. It's 2 balls and 1 strike as he fouls that one back. Our attendance officially tonight, 12,429, and they're running about 3,000 behind the record total that they set at the NCAA College World Series back in 1985. And that was the last time the Razorbacks of Arkansas added to that attendance total with their fans. They finished 3rd in '85. Coach Norm DeBryan. We want to thank him and all the coaches for the help that they give us in preparation and getting the information that we need. Hit hard into right field. Hit that ball like a shot into right.
If you get the barrel out in front on Carpenter, it is going to go hard because he's throwing hard.
Well, that's the 2nd hit that Carpenter has given up. Overall for Arkansas, it is hit number 8.
This is a smash. Second baseman makes a gallant attempt, but just can't get a glove on it. Ball picked up speed as it went through the infield.
Skeels has been on base 3 times tonight, 2 walks and a hit. He scored 2 runs.
And there's a very important statistic there, game-winning RBIs. And he's in a game-winning situation possibly here.
The score is 4-4. The go-ahead run is aboard in the person of Kramer. Freeman will hold him on. Carpenter comes to the plate. I think the home plate umpire, Bob Nelson, wanted to call that a strike.
He started to call that a strike, but now he's telling...
Now he'll get a little flack for it, too.
And he's telling the Georgia bench that the ball was low. That's the movement on his fastball. The ball did sink.
Miller sets up outside. The ball lined into center field. Gets away from the center fielder. Carter can't hang on to it, and the runner moves to 3rd. I'm sure that Kramers was going to stop at 2nd, but when Carter misplayed the ball in center, he moved up. Runners at the corners, nobody out, in a tie ball game, bottom of the 8th.
The ball was hit too hard for Kramers to go all the way to 3rd on, and it scored an error on the center fielder. It's a hit and an error because he couldn't go to 3rd on that ball. And that's a mistake by the Georgia Bulldogs. As you'll see here, he hits a ball so hard that there's no way the guy can go to 3rd, but the ball is skipping funny off of the grass, and therefore Carter wants to make sure it doesn't get by him, which I think is a safe play.
So the infield has to come in this tie ball game.
You do not want to give up a run this late in the ball game. You can't play back for the double play now. It's the bottom of the 8th inning, and Georgia actually, if scored upon, will only have 3 outs to try to catch up. So I think you have to play the infield in, cut the runner off the plate.
Big rip. And the man who has done it offensively, Randy Bob, is on deck. He has all 4 RBIs.
I think this is a situation where Carpenter has to go for the strikeout, or he has to make sure he gets the ground ball. So what I'm basically saying is he has to throw the sinker and make sure he keeps it down, or he has to throw the high fastball. You can't get the ball in the middle of the plate or throw a breaking ball. I think he's got to go with the hard stuff.
Fouled off to the right side. It will get out of play. Kramers and Skeels are the runners, both with base hits. Kramers moved to third on the error by the center fielder Carter, his 2nd error of the ball game.
I think the key now is the catcher's going out to talk to him. I think it's a very good move. They've got to get together and know exactly how they want to throw this pitch, whether they want to try to get the sinker to get the ground ball, or whether they want to try to go for the strikeout and risk getting it up in the strike zone. But if he throws the high fastball, he's got to make sure it's up.
And we have the rally caps going in the other dugout now. The Razorbacks.
He's going with a breaking ball.
Hit to the right side. Second baseman fields it. The runner holds at third, moves up at second, and the out at first.
Well, he threw a breaking ball and got the ground ball, but I thought he should have gone with the high fastball and tried to get the strikeout in that situation. But he felt more comfortable throwing a curveball, a breaking ball.
Runners at second and third. Eklund couldn't get it past Perno at second.
That's a high breaking ball. Actually, it hangs up there.
The question is, will they pitch to Randy Bob? And I don't think so.
It may not show up in the box score that way, but if there was not have been an error in the center field, they would have had runners on first and second. That was a double play ground ball. But I don't think I would pitch to Randy Bob either.
They will load up the bases, set up the possibility of the double play. Put it on the shoulders of Mike Cisco. I mentioned that Mike got the game-winning RBI in the regional championship game. He'll get a chance with the bases loaded and 1 out here. Singles by Kramers and Skeels. An error tossed in to move the runners up into scoring position, actually. The intentional walk now to Randy Bob. Now the infield is still going to come in. They will not drop back and try to go for 2. They'll try to cut it off at the plate.
This is a situation where the coach has to decide whether his double play combination is good enough to turn the double play if they get a medium ground ball or not. And he's decided that he doesn't want to risk that. I think if I was in this situation, double elimination, I would play the infield in as well. I think you have to play the infield in. You can't risk the ball being chopped.
Missed outside. The bases are loaded. Kramers with a single is on at third. Skeels, who also singled, is on at second, and Eklund, Bob, who was intentionally walked, is on at first. Eklund grounded out in the middle of all that. Now it's up to Cisco with 1 out, the bases loaded. He slaps it foul. Mike struck out his last time up. He was the first batter that Carpenter faced. He caught him looking.
So the tough thing to do in this situation is he needs a strikeout. But he is a relief pitcher that comes in most of the time and try to get a ground ball for a double play. So he's taught to throw the sinker and keep the ball down. But the obvious pitch for a strikeout here is the high fastball because he has such good velocity with his fastball.
He's ahead in the count 1 and 2. Cisco's able to fight that one off.
And it's easier to fight off the pitch when it's down than it is when it's up. But you're going to hit more ground balls off the low pitch, of course, and that's what a relief pitcher's job is normally, is to get the ground ball to get out of jams, to get a double play or something.
We'll do it again with a 1-ball, 2-strike pitch. way outside. Quick movement on the part of Miller. Keeps that one from going back to the screen. It's 2-2. Steve Weber in the middle looking on, trying to position his outfield defensively. The infield in all the way around. The outfield is shallow. Got one on the inside and gets the strikeout.
That was an excellent pitch. He had a lot of movement on the ball then, too. We'll see that pitch again. And watch how that ball really bores in on the right-handed hitter. Cisco has no chance on this. Watch, it starts there. See how it's chasing him? And it really bores in. Watch the ball. It starts in the inside corner and just continues to bore in on him. Look at the movement on that ball. That's great movement.
So now it'll be up to number 8.
They're going to pinch hit
Jim
for
Phillips,
Don
not Don Thomas.
No, they're pinch hitting for him.
That's right. It is not Don Thomas. It's a left-handed batter, Jim Phillips, off the bench. So Phillips comes on to pinch hit. Got a .296 average inside to him. They go to the lefty. No homers and 19 runs batted in. Those are the numbers on Phillips.
The real test here is for Carpenter to not to lose his concentration. He's battled back and gotten to 2 outs, but he's not out of the jam yet. You've still got to get the 3rd out. And a lot of times the relief pitcher has a tendency to let down after he gets 2 outs or pitches out of a tough jam. See, now he's behind 2-0. That is the real problem that a relief pitcher has sometimes. Is he feels like he's gotten it out of the jam and he eases up or loses concentration a little bit.
Phillips looks at a strike. It's 2-1. 2 outs in the inning now. The bases are still loaded with Razorbacks.
He really showed me something there. He didn't ease up on the fastball to throw a strike. He just turned it loose. He's got a lot of confidence. I really like him.
Phillips chops it towards short. Swift goes the short way, and the inning is over. Carpenter escapes. We're still tied at 4. 9th inning is coming up. Georgia 4, Arkansas 4. Now it'll be the Bulldogs' turn to try to break this tie. We'll be back with more baseball from Omaha, Nebraska. Ball game, and we're going to the 9th in Game 6 of the NCAA College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. A freshman at third base, Greg DeAlexander from Allen Park, Michigan. He's only 18 years old. He'll take over and play third, replacing Thomas. And Thomas went out for the pinch hitter Phillips in the bottom of the 8th inning. Golden opportunity goes by the board for Arkansas, and let's see what that does for the momentum, the enthusiasm of the Bulldogs of Georgia.
Well, usually it really changes your position. I think now Georgia is the team to beat. I think they have a lot of inspiration now that they got out of that jam.
Turner fouls it back off the mask of Steels.
I think the toughest job in baseball is to come in the late innings and play defense. And that's what they're asking DeAlexander to do. When you come into the ball game late, the only thing you can do is mess up. There's nothing you can do that's positive, really, because you probably will not get the bat. A defensive, late-inning defensive replacement is under a tremendous amount of pressure. And especially if you're a freshman.
He is truly on the hot corner. Turner is 3 for 7 here in Omaha. Grounds it to the right side. Zane to Eklund. That's 1 out in the 9th. Of course, you talk about the momentum and it being on the side of the Bulldogs, but it can go so quickly.
Yes, it can.
In a game like this, back the other way.
But I think you're always inspired when one of your teammates does something outstanding, as Carpenter did by getting out of a bases-loaded jam with no one out. Well, getting out, no one out situation with a man on third and not letting the other team score it. That has to inspire you.
Ball 1. And let's give some credit to both bullpens here, because Helton coming on in a tough situation in the 7th. On a ground ball, they got a run home. The run, of course, was charged to Fletcher, but he's done a pretty good job as he works now in this inning. His 3rd of relief, and that's chopped toward Zane again. Nice high hop. So 2 up and 2 down in the ninth.
And for the momentum to switch back to Arkansas, all he needs to do is retire them, run 2-3 very quickly, and get back at Carpenter, and I think the momentum will shift back to Arkansas, because Carpenter just worked out of a jam, and if he has to go right back out there, you know, he's back under pressure again. And since they're the home team, actually, when you go into the extra innings, you always have an edge.
And all Helton's done is come on and get 7 in a row here out of the bullpen.
And he's throwing hard as well.
Georgia 4 runs, 5 hits, 3 errors. Arkansas 4 runs, 9 hits, and 3 errors. We're in the 9th inning. It's been a dandy. Perno doubled and scored the tying run in the 7th, which is his only hit of the night. He's 2 for 6 in the '87 NCAA College World Series.
I tell you, I'd watch Helton. He has good motion for a pitcher in that he has a slow wind up, and then he really pops the ball on you. That slow motion. Look at this slow wind up, and then he lets the ball go. That's tough.
And he gets them 1, 2, 3. He gets them quickly. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. It becomes sudden death. The chance now for the Hogs to win this one. It's 4-4, Georgia and Arkansas. We go to the bottom half of inning number 9. Georgia and Arkansas locked up in a 4-4 ball game here. And the Rally Caps are out now for the Razorbacks. Georgia jumped ahead with a couple of unearned runs in the 3rd. Arkansas sliced that in half with a run in the bottom of the 4th. Georgia made it 3-1 with a run in the 5th inning. Then it was a 3-run home run by Randy Bob in the 6th that made it 4-3 Arkansas. And right back came the Bulldogs with a run in the 7th inning to tie it. And that's exactly where we stand right now as Rod Moore, the number 9 batter, leads it off. Then it'll be the top of the order coming up for the Razorbacks, and they're working against Carpenter.
I think the question now.
Good bunt. He's got a chance to beat it out, and does.
I think the question now, John, is how long can Carpenter go? Because let's face it, he's pitched yesterday, well, last night. He pitched this afternoon, and he's been pitching in tough situations tonight. So it's going to be a matter of how long he can go. And this is an excellent play. Barehands the ball, but he's off balance, and he pulls the first baseman off. I'm not sure if he would have gotten him anyway.
So the potential winning run is aboard. It's Scott Pose to bat. He has 2 hits. Shows bunt.
The outfielders are playing awfully shallow in this ball game, especially when you're in the late innings in a tie ball game. You can't afford to let a ball be hit over your head or even between you, because that'll end the ball game in this situation.
Pops it in the air. Miller squeezes out number 1.
The thing that wins ball games, extra inning ball games, is usually execution. Fundamentals become more important the longer the ball game goes. And not being able to bunt around over can always cost you the ball game.
Zane dumps it into right field. It'll drop for a base hit. Turning second and on his way to third is Moore. He's in safely. The winning run is at third with 1 out.
That's a little bloop in the right field. Kelly Zane bloops it in the right field, and the runner, being off with the crack of the bat, knowing it was a base hit, was able to go all the way around the third. Rod Moore knew it was a base hit from the time it was hit, so he didn't have to hold up.
And that will give Kramers, who had 5 RBIs in the loss to Texas, a chance to keep Arkansas alive in the College World Series. That potential winning run is on at third. In 66 games this year, Arkansas has not played an extra inning game. They don't want to do it tonight either.
They had a funny defensive alignment there, Georgia. They were actually playing for the double play in this situation. I don't think you can do that. I think you have to play the infield in and not let that runner from third score.
There is one out.
Now here comes the coach. I guess they're going to decide where they're going to play.
That's Moore at third. And Kelly Zane, who looped a single to right, is on at first. And out to the mound he goes.
I think they're trying to decide how they want to play it. One of the choices you have here, John, is to go ahead and walk Jim Kramers to load the bases, which would give you a force out at the plate. But if you do that, you're going right into the middle of their lineup. But I think that's the question you have to ask yourself. Do you want to try to have a force out at the plate, or do you want to risk having a tag play at the plate? The second baseman is playing in. Shortstop's playing halfway.
Swing and a miss on the fastball by Jim Kramers. And also you have to talk about the situation for Arkansas with that runner at third. It becomes the coach's responsibility to take charge down there and make a decision about when you're going to go and when you're not.
I think you have to go. On any ball hit, I think the guy from third has to go to put pressure on the defense. You can't let them make a play. You just go and let them put pressure on them and make them throw you out at the plate.
Breaking ball high and away. It's 1-1. One out. Moore at third and Zane at first.
I'm still confused by the way the shortstop is playing. See, he is not playing all the way in. I think you have to be all the way in. I don't think you can even attempt to make a double play in this situation, even if the ground ball's hit right at the guy. But you have a left-handed hitter, and that makes it a lot tougher to turn the double play because he's a step closer to first base.
Let's go down to Tim Brando.
John and Joe, Steve Weber went out just for that very reason. And Joe, you may disagree with it, but Weber has in mind if it's hit solidly to either one of the middle infielders, second or short, they'll go ahead and try to turn the deuce.
I'd hate to see them going home on a medium hit ground ball to shortstop. When if they're playing in, they can get the guy at the plate. That's the only difference here.
Of course, the one thing that Swift does, he is not as deep when the pitch is actually thrown as he is as you look at him there, because he does move in 3 or 4 steps.
That makes it even tougher when you're moving. I think you just have to play the infield in and cut the runner down to plate. The rest of them don't matter.
Hales outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Potential winning run on at third in the bottom of the 9th inning. Arkansas trying to eliminate Georgia and stay alive in this 1987 NCAA College World Series. Dumps it towards center field. That'll drop for a base hit, and Arkansas wins it 5-4. A couple of very tough losses for the Bulldogs. They lose 2 one-run games here in the 1987 NCAA College World Series. One to Stanford earlier today, and a heartbreaker in the bottom of the ninth tonight to Arkansas.
Well, I think it's a heartbreaker for 2 reasons, John. First of all, Carpenter pitched a great baseball to get out of a jam in the 8th inning. And the 2 base hits that plated the run actually were jam balls. He got in on them. They were bloopers. A blooper over at second base, moved the runner around the third, then a blooper in the center field scored the runner. So that's a real tough way to lose a ball game.
Let's take one more look at the base hit that ended it. It kept Arkansas from going to extra innings at all so far this season and kept them alive in the College World Series. Jim Kramers, who had 5 RBIs against Texas, picks up his 6th. He hit it just hard enough to send the Hogs home happy with a victory over the Bulldogs of Georgia. We'll be back to Omaha, Nebraska to wrap up game number 6. A disappointing finish for Georgia right after this. 1987 NCAA College World Series, and the Bulldogs are finished. A great season, the best in their history, is all over. We will continue here in Omaha, Nebraska tomorrow night. A winner's bracket game, Oklahoma State and LSU. Join us at 8 o'clock Eastern Time for live coverage. For Joe Morgan and Tim Brando, I'm John Sanders. Good night from Omaha, Nebraska, where Arkansas has eliminated Georgia 5-4.